Hokage I'll become stronger when I'm fishing. Chapter 81-100. Chapter 81. Let the world feel pain. Hee, feel the pain. Tian Dao chuckled lightly, and suddenly shouted, the earth explodes the stars. He has been waiting for the opportunity, and releasing Shen Luo Tianzheng is just delaying time. Tian Dao has already seen that the power of the 8 gods Kangdu is beyond his ability to match. So the best way at the moment is to use the Earth Blast Star to seal him. A1 black sphere was thrown into the sky, and the terrifying attraction began to work. The Earth began to crumble and converge towards the midair. Konoha believes in his own strength and keeps launching wars, creating the existence of his people. I want to make you feel the pain, even if you are Kangdu Yagami. Decades ago, you were able to save Konoha from an outlaw golem. But now, after all, you are powerless. Feel the pain, think about the pain. A lot of nonsense. The 8 gods Kangdu looked at Tiandao and sneered disdainfully. Villains often die of talking too much. As for the starburst, the 8 doors are open. The 7th is shocking. The blue steam is surging, and the scarlet Susanoo suddenly turns into armor, which is attached to the Yagami Kangdu. An instant, the ability in all aspects has been greatly improved. Among the Yagami Kangdu, this step has not yet been achieved. Of the tailed beast's body can withstand such a Susanoo. Prestigious Susanoo, riot. With a powerful posture, Yagami Kangta punched out. The terrifying sonic boom made everyone present feel temporarily deaf. But the explosion sounded, and it was already a second later. Boom. The earth-blasting star that was about to condense into shape was shattered into slag under the punch of Susanoo, the mighty Yagami Kangdu. Tiandao didn't have time to be surprised, and the 8 gods Kangdu slammed over with a quick punch. The head was blown up and turned into a fog of blood. At the same time, Yagami Kangdu opened his perception and found the place where the tallest tower was. The chakra fluctuations spread inside. It is clear that Nagato. This is of course the credit of the Eye of Reincarnation. Even if the chakra receiver is used to isolate the probing fluctuations, the reincarnation eye of the same source is naturally able to sense each other. It's just that Nagato didn't think about this, otherwise he would never choose to fight Yagami Kangdu. Jiraiya, go back to Konoha first, I'll be there later. Jiraiya, Yagami Sudo released his pretense, Susanoo, and blasted away. Boom. In an instant, he came to the outside of the sensing tower, smashed the outer wall of the tower with a punch, and Yagami Kangdu walked in directly. After walking for 2 steps, I saw Nagato, who was as thin as a wood and had to rely on special equipment to survive. In the legend, you are almost invincible at the age of 9. I thought I had transcended mortals and became a god of order, but I am not your opponent. Nagato opened his samsara eyes and looked at Yagami Kangdu quietly. Xiao Nan, leave. Suddenly, Nagato said. He felt Xiao Nan's intention, and actually wanted to use that technique. Do you want to die together? Xiao Nan hesitated. Nagato scolded. Did you forget Yahiko's pain? I am dead. As long as you live, there is still hope. This ugly world must be changed. I want to make the whole world feel pain. Feel the pain I have endured. Xiao Nan's eyes narrowed and he nodded immediately. Immediately, it turned into pieces of paper flying all over the sky, wanting to leave. Boom. It was just that a huge force squeezed Xiao Nan, interrupting the formation of her technique, so that she could not leave directly. Even a terrifying repulsive force hit her and knocked it out. Xiao Nan. Nagato exclaimed, looking at Xiao Nan in shock, and then at Kangdu, the 8 gods, Shen Luo Tianzheng. How could it be? This is the exclusive skill of his reincarnation eye. Those who do not have reincarnation eye can never use it. You also have the Eye of Reincarnation. Nagato exclaimed, and immediately said, since we are all of the same kind, why don't we join forces and completely change the world? Change the world. Yagami Kangdu shrugged. Don't say I'm not interested, just I'm not interested at all in cooperating with a mouse like you hiding in the dark. Even his own master was ruthless, just because the idea was inconsistent. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid you would have died at the hands of Orochimaru. Typical farmer with snake. Don't say anything to avenge Yahiko. Who cannot repay even a drop of water is just a lunatic who has fallen into a liar. The so-called world peace is just a pretext for his desire for revenge. A poor man who has fallen into a puppet of power is not qualified to be pitied by Yagami Kangdu. Not to mention working with him. PFF'd. When the words fell, Yagami Kangdu shot. Nagato's pupils stared, and his head moved. Looking at Nagato's samsara eyes intentionally or unintentionally, Yagami Kangdu finally chose to ignore it. According to the words of the elder moon Otsutsuki, if he wants to recapture the fruit of the divine tree eaten by Kagaya, he must first awaken her. Madara is the key to resuscitating Kagaya, and he left it to Nagato, the samsara eye. Ah, you killed Nagato. I want you, kill you. Xiaonan stood up from the rubble in embarrassment, watching Nagato's head roll down to his feet, and the whole person fell into a violent rage. Paper dance. In an instant, huge wings formed entirely of paper sheets condensed behind them, and then burst into countless sharp pieces of paper as a means of attack. The pieces of paper shot out can quickly return to the wings, with the effect of circular attacks. Shen Luo Tianzheng. Yagami Kangdu took a step forward and released the terrifying repulsion. Countless sharp pieces of paper encountered strong obstacles and flew backwards quickly. Xiaonan suddenly stopped attacking and dodged back and forth. But things were too sudden, and after all, there was no complete dodging. There were fine wounds all over the body, and the blood flowed non-stop. At the same time, Yagami Kangdu came to her in an instant. Suddenly, the system sound rang. Ding dong, instigate Xiaonan, reward 100 bait. 8 gods. Kangdu immediately put away his shuriken and slapped Xiaonan on the face. Wake up, Nagato is just a useless bastard who has become a slave of power. Yagami Kanto said. At the same time, the other gods were activated, affecting Xiaonan's will. We just want to ask for world peace, what's wrong? There were blood and tears in Xiaonan's eyes, and the whole person was on the verge of collapse in pain. Why did Yahiko die, and Nagato also died? We just want to live well. Can the fear of destroying a great country stop wars in exchange for peace? Yagami Kangdu angrily rebuked. Stupid, it's just absurd. The fundamental cause of war is human desire. Because of desire and entanglement of interests, wars have been triggered. If you want to end the war, you need to cut off people's desires. But human beings are sentient beings, and their desires will not disappear, or even never end. Under such circumstances, do you still think that peace can be achieved by using the tail-beast weapon that destroys a great country? Quote. Xiaonan began to calm down gradually. Although she did not admit it, she felt that what Yagami Kanto said was indeed reasonable. She followed Nagato and carried out the so-called tail-beast weapon plan, and the fundamental reason was not because of ideology. Just because of Yahiko's tragedy, Conan could only passively accept Nagato's idea. Then you say, how to achieve peace? Xiaonan asked subconsciously, and when he finished speaking, there was absolutely something wrong, so he shut up. Now they are still hostile. Yagami Kangdu laughed. As long as there is a response, it means that persuasion is necessary. If Xiaonan was carrying the harassment, he would kill him. Yagami Kangdu also has no idea of pity and cherish Jade. In Yagami Kangdu's eyes, there are only two concepts of his own people and enemies. If you want world peace, then you must have enough power to suppress the world. When the whole world can't restrain you and can only choose to surrender, do you think that war can still break out? Won't peace come? Yagami Kangdu talked eloquently. There is some truth to it, but in fact, Yagami Kangdu is a temporary nonsense. Whether it will work, he doesn't know. Sense, kill it. Well, Yagami Kangdu is a man who has no feelings for him. Xiaonan suddenly had a lot of sunshine, and looked at Kangdu, the 8 gods, with extremely adoring eyes. Sentence that pierced her heart. Yes, the root of becoming stronger is not to destroy the world in exchange for peace. It is above everyone else. When no one objects to your words, will peace soon come. If you want peace, why should you exchange killing for peace? This is a paradox. Thank you. After a long while, Xiaonan took a deep breath and looked at Kangdu Iori and sincerely thanked him. Don't rush to thank you. Promise to help me with one thing, or I will kill you directly. Yagami Kangdu waved his hand. The corner of Xiaonan's mouth twitched, and he murmured in his heart, he doesn't look like a gentleman at all. Of course, the face remained calm. After all, his current life is still in the hands of Yagami Kangdu. Pretend to escape and continue to contact the masked man. If they want to carry out the tail beast capture plan, they will cooperate with them. Yagami Kangdu said, once you find something abnormal, and you think it's worth reporting, then come to Konoha and contact me. Good. Xiaonan nodded, it was not difficult. Anyway, it's my job. Ding dong, the temporary task has been completed, and Xiaonan has been successfully instigated. At the same time, the system prompt sounded. Take it, it can save your life at the critical moment. After the words fell, Yashin Kangdu threw a bottle of special effect recovery potion towards Xiaonan. For his own people, Yagami Kangdu is not stingy at all. Start. Cold, Xiaonan was moved to tears when he saw the introduction on the medicine. As long as you are not killed on the spot, you can heal with breath. Although the severed limbs cannot be grown, as long as they can be connected, they can be completely restored. Waiting for your good news. Iori Kangdu immediately waved his hand, ignoring Xiaonan's expression of gratitude, and turned away. Konoha Village, Hokage Building Conference Room. The shadows of the 5 great ninja villages gathered, and the general of the Iron Country, the grandson of Mifune, Ruki also came. Tsunade, in the face of the threat of Akatsuki's organization, only joint operations can win, don't you still understand? The 4 generations of Reikage are aggressive and speak rudely. We are here this time purely to help Konoha, and the goal of Akatsuki's organization is 9 tails. You should be clear about which choice to make. Onogi echoes the road. Hearing this, Tsunade suddenly became furious. I, Konoha, did not hold the 5 shadows meeting, and I don't need you to pretend to be kind to help us. Deal with Xiao, we ourselves are enough. I can't say anything, for the safety of the entire ninja world, how can you, as Hokage, be so self-willed? Onogi shook his head and took a sip of tea. Tsunade was about to get angry, and Minato Namikaze stood up and said, what is the price for helping us Konoha? The leaders of the 5 major countries glanced at each other. It's very simple, after the war, resources will be redistributed, and the corresponding compensation, Konoha will also give us the 5 major countries. In the face of the people from the 5 countries showing their fangs, Tsunade said angrily, you are taking advantage of the fire. Don't be so rude, just be kind. If you don't accept it, we can just leave. Onogi said calmly. Tsunade just wanted to say, let's go. Unexpectedly, Oyegi then arrived. However, when facing the Xiao organization, what kind of things will happen, then I don't know. The threat of red fruit. Clear. I want to say that if you don't agree, then Konoha will be out of the Akatsuki organization, and you will need to deal with their 5 major countries. The emergence of the Xiao organization, to a certain extent, advanced the ambitions of the 5 great powers. In troubled times, it is time to redistribute benefits. The strongest Konoha should also go to the altar. You are an obvious threat. The copyright of the novel resource belongs to the original author. The text is only for personal study and trial reading. Please delete it within 24 hours after downloading. Please support subscribing to Genuine Novels and refuse piracy. This novel was first published by Dragon. Feilu's novel internal group 1,142,529,731. More wonderful Feilu novels are in the hands of the group owner. Welcome to the group. Tsunade's forehead burst with blue veins, and he was on the verge of losing control in anger. That's it. What about bullying you? Sanren, you are left alone now, can you still support Konoha? Onogi raised his eyebrows in disdain. The previous Konoha was indeed powerful, but the current Konoha is not in their eyes at all. What's more, just got the news that Jirai also died in battle. Killed by the so-called Six Paths Pain. This is also the strength of Onogi's aggressiveness. Tsunade is the only one left in Sanin, and it's hard to support it alone. Even in the younger generation of Konoha, there are still many strong people, and there are also many shadow-level people. But the 5 years of recuperation and recuperation of their 5 countries have also made great progress. Who told you that only Konoha is left in Sanin? It was at this moment that Jiraiya, who should have died, walked into the conference room. July also. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Clearly getting the exact information, Jirai was also killed by pain, so how could he still appear here? There is no one to bully us Konoha, so just come and give it a try. J-Lai also looked around at the 5 national cinemas and high-level executives, and his self-confidence expanded unprecedentedly. Without him, Kangdo is back. In the past, perhaps Jirai will choose to give in a little bit, and in order to save Konoha, there is no way to pay some price. But now that Yagami Kangdo is back, he is still afraid to ask, hey, don't be too conceited, even if you add you. How can you know that there are still 5 major countries in the organization? Can you really handle Konoha? Anamu's heart skipped a beat and regained his composure. As he said, one more Jiraiya, one less Jiraiya, 4. The 5 major countries, there is not much difference. It's just that they originally needed to find a reason to deal with Konoha with the Akatsuki organization as an entry point. Now, it seems to have become a little misnamed and unspeakable. However, in the face of absolute strength, Konoha can only choose to compromise. Feilu reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 83, Obito's Death. Black background is now active in the entire ninja world, catching tailed beasts everywhere, the iconic costume of an organization that wants to be an enemy of the world. Xiao. Obito, who wears a mask, is the spokesperson on the bright side. Looking at the 5-nation coalition with a sneer, he said indifferently with a mask, I have come here this time, and I have 2 immature suggestions that I would like to discuss with you. Hand over the 8-tailed, 9-tailed, and I will restore peace to the world. Let the world return to peace. Someone was suspicious. Mask Obito smiled and continued, collect the 9 big-tailed beasts, resurrect the 10-tailed, and then I will become the 10-tailed human Zuli. Use that power to strengthen your pupil power. Then use some kind of ninjutsu. Hearing this, Tsunade wanted to speak, but was stopped by Yagami Kangdo with a smile. What the hell is some kind of ninjutsu? Gaara asked. A large-scale illusion that projects my own eyes onto the moon. Mask Obito said calmly, unlimited monthly reading. Imagine everyone who exists on the earth, and I will control everyone in the illusion and make the world one. A world without barriers and without controversy. Everything becomes one with me, the unity of everything. This is my Moon Eye plan. Face was cold, the illusory peace is just a lie. Peace has meaning only when it is achieved in the real world. Terumi May also echoed, what's the point of living in such an illusion world? No dreams, no soul, only an empty shell, just to escape. Anyway, this is my ideal world. Mask Obito is still indifferent. If you are unwilling to hand over the 8 tails and 9 tails, then in the 4th Ninja War, I will officially declare war on the 5 countries here. Domineering sideways, you will get a Pucci in exchange for it. Smile. Tsunade couldn't help it. If before Yagami Kangdo, the appearance of this Obito would definitely have its own halo, and it would slowly be bigger. But now, I can only use this kind of slapstick, it's almost shameless. Hee hee. The mask chuckled lightly, and he felt offended by Tsunade Haim's disdainful smile. Void fluctuated, and through the divine power, he appeared behind Tsunade Haim in the blink of an eye. With one hand out, he will attack Tsunade Haim. But he was stunned to find that his body, which existed between fantasy and reality, was actually grabbed by the arm. Boom. Saying a word, the moment Obito didn't respond, Yagami Kingta kicked him directly in the abdomen. Crack. Immediately afterwards, Kingdu Yagami bullied himself up and landed on Obito's chest with another punch, and there was a sound of rib shattering. Obito's body, like a rag sack, shot backwards. A bang, a large number of houses were smashed and fell into the rubble. Dust and smoke filled the air, and a figure with a coyote appeared. Void was distorted, and the wound on the deeply collapsed chest recovered instantly. But Obito couldn't help opening his mouth, and a lot of blood sprayed out. Iori Kangdu is really strong and terrifying, but you alone can't stop my Moon Eye plan. Obito said coldly, you have successfully attracted my attention, I will take good care of you in the future, yours. A lot of nonsense. Yagami Kangdu shrugged. Obito obviously hadn't anticipated his situation. Opening the 5th Duman Konoha whirlwind of the 8th Gates Dunjia, Yagami Kangdu launched another attack. But this time, the attack didn't work, and the attack went straight through Obito's body. Just now was just a moment. I was careless, my body can be blurred, how can your attack power be strong? Sneer and sneer again and again. The words fell, his figure flickered behind Yagami Kangdu, holding the shuriken and stabbed him down. The blood spraying in the imagination did not appear, but Obito felt a sharp pain in his body. Looking down, his illusory body that could not be attacked was actually hit. Yagami Kangdu's fist burst out, dripping with blood. Absurd. But when you want to attack, it will materialize. A chuckle, Yagami Kangdu twitched his fists, and Obito broke out in a cold sweat in pain. PFF'd. The blood spurted out from the mouth, and Obito insisted, even if I can hit me, what if I have no heart, I will never die. Void fluctuated, and Obito wanted to enter the different dimension of Kamui and escape the attack of Yagami Kangdu. But Yagami Kangdu is faster. A punch shattered his mask and smashed his kaleidoscope. Ah! Obito screamed, and the kaleidoscope writing wheel was torn out abruptly. Was only blood flowing from the empty eye sockets. Looking at Obito indifferently, in his eyes full of hatred, Yagami Kangta squeezed hard. That was dug out with soil suddenly burst into slag. All your power is placed on this eye. Without the kaleidoscope, would you still be struggling? Looking at Obito playfully, Iori Kangdu walked towards him indifferently. Because of the severe pain, Obito fell into an unprecedented madness. Once again he thought about the world he loved, and how he treated himself. Looking at Yagami Kangdu, Obito roared angrily, "Bastard, how dare you crush it? My life has been abandoned by this world, and it is the only proof that I exist in this world." The Battle of Kanabi Bridge, yes it hurts. Lin's death and Kakashi's betrayal made him completely plunged into boundless darkness. It can also make him maintain a sense of reason and think that the proof that he is still alive in this world is only this kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. The original pain, the boundless pain, and the kaleidoscope Sharingan evolved from Sharingan have been his spiritual support for so many years. At this moment, it was crushed by Yagami Kangdu. This has completely cut off Obito's hope and plunged him into darkness and boundless madness. Rushed up, and Obito punched the Iori Kangdu. Bang! Lifetime of muffled noise, Yagami Kangdu easily caught his fist. "Bastard, let me go, I'm going to kill you." Obito roared angrily, and threw another fist out. Stupid people, trying to control the world in vain, and they don't even know they are being played as fools. Yagami Kanto chuckled lightly and grabbed his other fist. His hands were imprisoned, and he lost his kaleidoscope writing wheel, so Obito couldn't use any other means to break free. "Let go of me, let go of me, bastard. Hysterical, like a woman in a wet market. Yagami Kangdu gently twisted his arm, only to hear a crackling sound. Obito's two arms were bizarrely twisted, the broken bones pierced through the skin, and blood flowed. Ah! Obito's shrill screams echoed in the conference room, and Yagami Kangdu landed with another punch. A paranoid idiot, it's not good to hide in the dark and be a mouse. You have to show your presence. A savage punch landed on Obito's head and slammed it into the pit. Blood splattered, and the ground was centered on the deep pit he fell into, and a large number of cobweb cracks spread out. Yagami Kangdu still didn't stop, punching punch after punch. The ground collapsed, creating a 10-meter deep pit, and the fist continued to fall. Obito's pupils began to dilute, a lot of vitality was lost, and he couldn't raise his hand to resist. Let Yagami Kangdu's fist fall, he muttered to himself with blurred eyes. This world is sorry for me, why did I take Lin away, I don't want this. Each of you is forcing me, I just want world peace, I want to create a world with Lin, where everyone can live in harmony, what did I do wrong? Obito has been implanted with first-generation cells, and in terms of anti-hit ability, it is even better than the Raiden Chakra mode of the 4th generation of Raikage. Even though all the bones in his body were almost shattered, Obito hadn't died yet. Mudden cells are constantly repairing his civil war, keeping the last vigor. He raised his head with difficulty, his half-drooping eyes staring at the sky. Void spread his hand and grabbed it, but nothing was caught, everything was nothingness. Boom boom boom. Yagami Kangta heard Obito's murmur and continued to drop his fist mercilessly. He has no mercy on Obito. Poor people must have something to hate. Give the world the pain you have suffered. This is nothing but paranoid madness. If you care about friendship, don't talk about revenge. Even if Kakashi is killed first, to avenge Rin, Yagami Kangdu respects Uchiha Obito. This kind of procrastination, and trying to execute the Eye of the Moon plan is simply stupid. Under the violent attack of Yagami Kangdu, the earth continued to crumble. Dust and smoke filled the air, and the explosion sounded incessantly. Bombardment of one punch, the Mudden cells in Obito's body gradually lost their activity. There are too many devastating blows, and the speed of repair cannot keep up with the speed of destruction. The eyes of countless people in the 5-nation allied forces, Konoha Ninja Village, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, the masked man Obito, was bombed and killed on the spot. Huge movement, gathered too many people. Kakashi, Namikaze Minato, Jiraiya, Uzumaki Kushina, Uchiha Makoto, Yekora and others. They all watched silently, especially Kakashi, clenching his fists. Recalling the past, he felt sorry for Obito. But Yagami Soto did the right thing. Obito has fallen into the darkness of boundless revenge, and is no longer the same. Optimistic, upward. Regardless of being called the tail of a crane, he insists on his Hokage dream. People who fall into paranoia and want to destroy the world, death is the best release for him. Obito, Yagami Soto returned to the Konoha conference room again. Standing next to the huge hole, the 5-nation coalition army was like a mouse meeting a cat and scattered. They all hurried back to the village and actively prepared for the battle. Yagami Kangdu killed a lot of people in the major ninja villages that year, but no one would doubt that he declared war on the 5 kingdoms. Brother Kangdu. Crossing the crowd, Uzumaki Kushina's eyes filled with tears. Many years have passed, she is old and has wrinkles on her eyes. She never thought that there will be another day when she will see Yagami Kangdu again. For decades, I can only paralyze myself by training and completing high-risk tasks. That's how hard it is to live to this day. Seeing now that the figure that protected him back then returned, the shock in my heart couldn't be further added. He was sobbing, unable to say anything. He bowed his head and sobbed, tears dripping down to the ground. The people around were silent, and many people knew about the relationship between Uzumaki Kushina and Yagami Kangdu. If it wasn't for the Yagami Kangdu who protected Uzumaki Kushina back then, I would have been killed by the people of Wuin village long ago. The country of the vortex was destroyed, and the Yagami Kangdu became the only support for the vortex Kushina. Suddenly, the only way to rely is gone. That has collapsed. Everyone admires Kushina who can survive until now. And besides, Uzumaki Kushina, there are Uchiha Makoto and Yekora who have the same feelings. They remembered Yagami Kangdu's kindness to them back then. Over the years, the three-member team has always carried out high-risk missions to paralyze themselves. Before he knew it, he had long replaced the legendary Sannin and became the new generation of Konoha's Sannin. You guys are great. Yagami Kangdu didn't know what to say, patted their heads and praised them. Brother Kangdu, you won't disappear again. This is really not a dream, right? Yi King asked with tears on his face. As the youngest at the time, her inner world was the most vulnerable. At one point, I wanted to end myself and accompany Yagami Kangdu. Seeing Yagami Kangdu at this moment, I always feel like a dream. It seems to be a dream. Once he wakes up from the dream, Yagami Kangdu is gone. Fool, of course not. Yagami Kangdu smiled and wiped away their tears. Okay, you're all grown up, so crying, you're not afraid of the jokes around you. Look, everyone is still watching. I don't care. Unexpectedly, Uzumaki Kushina frowned and pouted, looking very capricious. It doesn't matter what they think. Yi King also burst into laughter and said coquettishly. Uchiha Makoto is as indifferent as ever. Whoever dares to say a few more words, I will let him know why the flowers are so red. This is what Iori Soto said inadvertently back then, but Uchiha Makoto remembered it so clearly. Helplessly smiled, Yagami Kangdu also let them go. Next, Yagami Kangdu, as a Konoha god-like existence, was introduced to many high-level leaders today. In fact, the high-level people who have been promoted now have all received the favor of Yagami Kangdu. But Yagami Kangta, as always, doesn't like tedious things, and quickly left with the three of Uzumaki Kushina. Back at the long-lost residence, Tsunade found the door. The position of Hokage should be handed over to you. Tsunade said. No, I'm used to being lazy, and I don't want to organize a lot of things. Yagami Kangdu hurriedly waved his hand. Power is a good thing, and Hokage is also a high-level authority. But the higher the status, the greater the responsibility. It's really annoying to deal with complicated affairs every day, and what to do with intrigue. Yagami Kangdu's philosophy is that there is actually no problem that can't be solved with one punch. If so, then two punches. However, for Tsunade, who didn't want to give up, Yagami Sudo gave her an excellent suggestion. Just like that, Tsunade left happily. At the same time, Jiraiya, who was collecting material above the bathhouse, sneezed suddenly for the sake of his own publishing business. I just felt a gust of cold wind blowing, from the tail vertebra to the Tianlingai. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 83, Extinguishing Tailed Beast Jade, Bear the Price. Brother Kangdu, where have you been all these years? Inside the residence, after having a full meal, everyone started chatting, Uzumaki Kushina asked. After the words fell, Uchiha Makoto and Yi King also looked at Yagami Kangdu curiously. If they were in the ninja world, how could they have no news at all? When the outsider golem was driven to self-destruct, it was actually to activate the super-large teleportation circle and send me to the moon. Yagami Kangdu didn't hide it. 1510, I told all my experiences on the moon during that time. In fact, it only takes a few days. He spent most of the time in a coma. I didn't expect that there is such a magical place. I really want to go and see it. Yi King had a longing look in his eyes. Although the remaining 2 did not say anything, their eyes were bright, obviously looking forward to it. Okay, next, there are some important things that need your help. Suddenly, Yagami Kanto's face was serious. Three of Uzumaki Kushina immediately looked at Yagami Kingdo seriously. I have prepared a plan to cooperate with Akatsuki's organization, so that they can successfully revive the 10-tailed man Zuri. Yagami Kingdo's words were astonishing. Three of them hurriedly covered their mouths, for fear that the exclamation would be too loud and people would notice the strangeness. Brother Kingdo, you are here, and you also want to destroy the ninja world and kill people with a knife. Uchiha Makoto was the first to speak. When she wanted to come, Yagami Kingdo secretly told them this: there must be an extremely dangerous plan. Use the Akatsuki organization to destroy other great powers. In the end, Konoha came forward and destroyed the Akatsuki organization. It was perfect. Konoha suddenly stood on the commanding heights and was able to win the hearts and minds of all the great powers in the ninja world. Don't waste your energy to slowly integrate the major powers. I'm afraid they can't wait to surrender to Konoha. I have to say that Uchiha Makoto has a very rich imagination. But Kingdo Yagami interrupted her imagination. Our real enemy is not the Akatsuki organization, nor the Uchiha Madara in the dark. Yagami Kingdo continued. It all started thousands of years ago, about the ancestor of the ninja world, the mother of Otsutsuki Yui. Otsutsuki Yuki. Yi King was puzzled. That is, the 6 paths immortal. The 8 gods Kang Do Dao. Otsutsuki Kagaya, this is the name of the 6 path immortal's mother, from the Otsutsuki clan. The person behind the Shao organization is named Heiju, which is condensed by Kagaya's will, and can be regarded as her 3rd child. The tail beast capture plan is nothing but Obito being used. In the end, it is not to carry out the so-called Eye of the Moon plan, but to resurrect Kagaya Otsutsuki. After some explanation, the shocked expressions on the faces of the 3 of them became more and more intense. As the person who devoured the fruit of the divine tree, he possesses extremely terrifying power, and has a true immortality. Only by sealing it can contain her existence. Yagami Kanto continued. Could it be that Brother Kingdo is not a rival? Uchiha Makoto is incredible. It's not. I have the confidence to defeat her, but the problem is her immortality. It's really hard to say who is stronger and who is weaker. Yagami Kanto raised his eyebrows and said. Since she is such a terrifying person, why did Brother Kingdo help to revive her? Yi King said in doubt. Uzumaki Kushina and Uchiha Makoto are also confused. To just reinforce the seal, why would it be a waste of time to take risks? Iori Kingdo scratched his head, and said surprisingly, she is my aunt. What? The 3 of them couldn't help exclaiming. Uchiha Makoto blurted out in shock, how can someone from thousands of years ago be your aunt? This is a long story. In short, she betrayed the Otsutsuki clan and ate the fruit of the divine tree that should have belonged to me. Now it's time to resurrect her and take back the fruit of the divine tree. Yagami Kanto said. It's abominable, to actually steal Brother Kingdo's divine tree fruit. Who is it? Anyway, it's also an elder, and it's too much. Also auntie, her heart is really vicious. Immediately, the topic went awry. When they heard that Yagami Kingdo was actually betrayed by his aunt, the 3 of them were very indignant and constantly condemned. Yagami Kingdo has black lines all over his head. Point, it seems, is not to put a woman's heart here, the needle of the seabed. Oh, hard to understand. Tell me, Brother Kingdo, what do you want us to do? We can do anything. We must teach Kagaya an unforgettable lesson. Waving her fist, Uchiha Makoto said fiercely. Pull out the 9 tails from Kushina's body. You guys can help guard. Don't let anyone approach. Yagami Kanto said. If you pull away from the 9-tailed Karanzuli, if you leave the tailed beast, won't you die soon? Yi King was surprised and said quickly. Before Iori Kingdo could speak, the Whirlpool Jushinai said, Fool, will Brother Kingdo still harm me? Yagami Kingdo also continued. I can get rid of the 9 tails, so that Kushina will not bear this heavy burden again, and I can also guarantee her life. Final analysis. The existence of human column force is still not reasonable. Of Yagami Kingdo, the life trajectory of Uzumaki Kushina would not be so tragic. Soon, the explanation was almost the same, and Yagami Kanto started to do it. Using the secret technique peeling obtained from the mysterious scroll of the moon, Yagami Soto successfully pulled the 9 tails away. And let it fall into a deep sleep, put it into the system and take the special recovery potion to the whirlpool in time to avoid the troubles of the tail. When all this was done, let the 3 girls go to sleep first. Yagami Kingdu came to a wasteland where Konoha existed. Crash! A soft sound in the stillness of the night, clear to the ears. The swirling pieces of paper quickly assembled into the appearance of Xiaonan. The place where Heiju lurks is. Told Yagami Kingdu the information he had collected. Then, Xiaonan left. Yagami Kingdu took a circuitous route to the location of highway revealed by Xiaonan. Somewhere deep in the ground, Heiju and Baiju are negotiating. They have already sensed the death of Obito, which has some impact on the next plan. They must find a replacement as soon as possible to carry out the plan to arrest Yahweh and Jue. Especially Heiju, he had prepared for so long, and it was absolutely impossible for him to let anything affect his resurrection of his mother. Who? Suddenly, in Heiju's perception, a person entered. Under the darkness, Yagami Kanto came out. "It's you!" Heiju exclaimed and ran away immediately. Without him, the horror of Yagami Kingdu decades ago, he still vividly remembers. Even the self-destruction of the outsider golem and the 444-tailed beast's chakra just sent it to the moon. As for kills, there is absolutely no way to do that. Don't be afraid, there are some things that I want you to cooperate with. What's more, your body is formed by the will body, with the chakra attribute of yin and yang escape, and it is not so easy to die. Yagami Kanto said calmly. Heiju's body melted into the ground for a moment, then he looked at Yagami Kingdu vigilantly and said, "What deal do you have to do with me?" Resurrection of the 10-tailed Yuri, unlock the seal, and resurrect your mother, Kagaya Otsutsuki. Yagami Kingdu said calmly. Who the hell are you? Who told your mother? Heiju was stunned and hysterical. When it comes to his mother's secret, he will never allow the slightest accident. Otsutsuki Kagaya is my aunt, what do you think? Yagami Kingdu shrugged, and Heiju was immediately stunned. A while, he hesitated. It's impossible, my mother has never had a nephew, what are you going to do if you want to lie to me? This, you should be familiar with it. Suddenly, Yagami Kingdu opened his samsara eyes. Because of the bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan, Samsara Eye is completely different from the wave released by Nagato. Heiju was immediately stunned. This breath, and his mother Kagaya, really came from the same origin. You are really your mother's nephew. Black Jew hesitated. Yagami Kanto nodded. Even if Heiju no longer believed it, the almost identical aura made it hard for him not to believe it. The most important thing is that Yagami Soto went to the moon and returned smoothly. If that's the case, then we are a family, with the same goal. Heiju nodded, no longer trying to escape. Well, so you are still brothers. Baiju on the side smiled and said. No, this is the next. Seeing that Heiju had lowered most of his vigilance, Yagami Kanto threw a weird bottle from his arms. Heiju took it, raised his eyebrows and exclaimed, this is the 9 tails. This time, he completely trusted Yagami Kanto. Originally, I was still a little wary, after all, I was one of the accomplices who sent him to the moon. But at this moment, the sincerity of the 9 tails made Heiju's last vigilance vanish. In this case, there are only 8 tails left. Yagami Kanto said. Well, as for Yaao, I'm already asking people to find their whereabouts. Heiju nodded and said excitedly. Very good, now, it won't be too long before the day of resurrecting Mother. I have declared war on the 5 great nations of the ninja world. When the melee is detonated, it will be more convenient for you to find Yahweh and arrest him at the same time. The 8 gods Kang Do Dao. Okay, you are open, I am secret, I believe that our mutual relatives will be rescued soon. Heiju said excitedly. Soon, after reaching an agreement with Heiju, Yagami Kangdo left. The night was silent, and soon came the next day. Yagami Kangdo personally participated in Konoha's pre-war preparations for the declaration of war against the 5 great powers. 1 on 5, this is undoubtedly extremely risky. But because this sentence was said by Yagami Kangdo, no one opposed it at all, but strongly supported it. From high-level ninjas to the common people of Konoha village, this is the case. Mobilization before the war is related to many reasons and will take some time. At the same time, the 5 major countries are also making urgent preparations. And it was agreed that the Land of Thunder, which is farthest from Konoha, would be the battlefield for the gathering. Are you ready? At this moment, 3 figures appeared on the periphery of Yan'an village, and the leader asked. Ready. Untie the seal of the tail. With the nodding of the shadow on the side, Yagami Kangdo performed the legendary forbidden technique. Terrifying red chakra began to emerge from the scroll, and a huge amount of chakra swept out. Bang! A loud noise, a huge white fog rose up, almost covering the sky. White fog has not dissipated, and a terrifying body can be seen faintly flickering. The true Outlander golem was personally ripped off from Hinata Nami's body. 10 times larger than the pseudo-heteropathic golem summoned by Madara Uchiha. Baiju, it's your turn. After releasing the real Outlander golem from the seal scroll, Yagami Kangdo looked back at Baiju. At present, they are still short of 1/8 tails, and the total amount of chakra is still missing. But at present, the purpose of Yagami Kangdo is not to completely revive the 10 tails, plus the amount of chakra of 100,000 Baiju is basically enough. The words fell, a large number of Baiju rushed into the roaring mouth of the outsider golem from the underground. More and more chakra fluctuations swept out, overwhelming. Roar! The outsider golem roared wildly, and as a large amount of Baiju was swallowed up, all the 10 eyes of the outsider golem that were confined to the outside world opened. The crimson eyes flashed with cold murderous intent, and the ferocious roar roared wildly. The earth was overwhelmed and collapsed layer by layer. It's just that the destructive power caused by this has reached the super god Luo Tianzheng released by Nagato. Yagami Kangdo looked in the direction of Iwanan village. The first one he was ready to attack was Iwananu village. The arrogant Onogi, let him taste what is called boundless pain. Under the control of Yagami Sudo, the 10 tails roared and raised their head. A burst of destructive energy condensed at its huge blood mouth. A1 emitting evil red and black-tailed beast jade gradually formed, expanding at a very fast speed. Just a moment, the tailed beast jade is so huge that the radiation range exceeds 1 kilometer. Wind roared, the sky was torn apart, and it was like an apocalyptic scene. The huge movement also caused the people of Yinian village to wake up from their sleep. My god, what the hell is that? What a terrifying energy ball! The village chief and the others went to the Land of Thunder to gather, saying that it was to deal with the sinister Yagami Kangdo in the ninja world. Is this his revenge? Ah, the end of the world is coming. Tens of thousands of people in Yinian village looked at the terrifying tailed beast jade, shrouded in boundless fear. They squeezed each other, fled, and stampede occurred. On full display at this moment. There is no so-called respect for the old and love for the young, these are objects that can be discarded. In the face of disaster, only to save one's own life is the kingly way. But, everything is useless. The terrifying tailed beast jade, the explosion swept the area enough to destroy the entire land of the country. If you want to escape from the land of unearthed in a short time, even the shadow-level powerhouse can't do it. Not to mention, there are now a large number of ninjas in the land of the land, and all the combat troops have gone to the Land of Thunder to prepare for Konoha's declaration of war. At this moment, in the land of the earth, there are tens of thousands of people, and most of them are just civilians. Boom! The indifferent Yagami Kangdo, looking at the almost formed tailed beast jade, directly controlled the 10 tails to launch it. The terrifying recoil force even made the half-body of the 10 tails deeply embedded in the earth. Iwa Ninja Village, you are only the first, bear the price. Yagami Kangdu looked at the tailed beast Jade calmly, and soon, Onogi will also come to accompany you. Chapter 85. One person, surrounded 50,000 coalition forces. The huge-tailed beast Jade shot at a very fast speed, and it almost reached the sky above Iwa Ninja Village in the blink of an eye. The fleeing villagers looked at the rapidly magnifying tailed beast Jade, and only at this moment did they feel powerless despair. Ah, oh Yegi 2 days, you are a bastard. Onogi abandoned us a long time ago, he is a damn bastard. What to do, who will save us, we don't want to die. Instant, all the villagers of Iwanan village were roaring and shouting. Hundreds of casualties were caused by the stampede, which occurred because of the chaos. Facing the crisis of death, all the villagers of Yenian village put the fault on Oyegi. Onogi became the object of their venting, and the most vicious curses continued. Just like this, it can't change the fact that they are facing the tailed beast Jade. Desperately fell to the ground, everyone in Yenian village was desperate. Tailed beast Jade fell quickly, and the violent sound that erupted in an instant, as well as the blazing aurora like the sun, made many people deaf and blind. At this moment, as if time stood still, there was darkness between heaven and earth. Can't see, ain't here. The next moment, an unstoppable explosion pressure swept out, spreading the entire Iwaninu village. Blink of an eye, the terrifying explosion made the Rock Ninja village become history. Everyone was shattered in the explosion, and tens of thousands of Iwanan villagers. But, it's not over yet. The terrifying explosion is still there, sweeping, the area is almost shrouded in the entire land of the land. A momentary aurora turned the dark night into day. The exploding tailed beast Jade created a huge mushroom cloud with a diameter of more than tens of kilometers. All the villagers of Yanan village were not spared, and the terrifying tailed beast Jade turned the original position of Yanan village into a huge deep pit. Like a meteor falling down, Iwa Ninja village did not leave any traces. Early the next morning, Onogi, who is far away in the land of thunder, does not know the despair faced by the tens of thousands of villagers of Yanan village. On the square, he looked at the five-nation coalition that stretched for several miles, and he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Everyone, this is the most important time to decide the fate of our major countries. Yagami Kangdu, who almost destroyed the entire ninja world back then, is back, and he officially declared war on us. The voice of the fourth Hokage resounded in the air, impassioned. In order for Konoha to completely unify the ninja world, Yagami Kangdu wants to slaughter all of our 5 countries. This is absolutely unacceptable to us. Kill Yagami Kangta in exchange for peace in the ninja world. With the last shout of the fourth Hokage, the fact that it was distorted has long been irrelevant. Of the 5-nation alliance army, Yagami Kangdu has become a heinous demon. Kill Yagami Kangta in exchange for peace in the ninja world. Kill Yagami Kangta in exchange for peace in the ninja world. Kill Yagami Kangta in exchange for peace in the ninja world. Huge sound waves, wave after wave, all denounced Yagami Kangdu. Immediately after the fourth Hokage, Onogi also roared loudly, detonating the mood of the 5-nation alliance. Decades ago, he did the same thing. At that time, it was your ancestors who defended the entire ninja world in exchange for decades of peace. Iori Kangdu is the enemy of the entire ninja world. Only by killing him can real peace be achieved. The grandson of the 3 ships, the general of the Iron Country, Ruki, also shouted, "Now, we must share the enemy, no longer represent individuals, no longer represent our own villages, but fight for the world, for our descendants, and have a beautiful fight for the future. Kill Yagami Kangdu and pull out. The cancer of the ninja world. I announce that the Ninja Alliance is officially established, and the 4th Ninja War has begun." Words fell, and the 50,000 coalition troops all roared frantically with red faces. For Yagami Kanto was completely ignited in their hearts. As for the facts, no one cares at all. Since Ying-sama said so, then it is correct. It was at this moment that a black shadow rushed towards the leaders of the 5 major countries in the center of the square. Lois, why don't you stay here in the village to prevent Konoha from raiding? Person coming. Oyemu's brows suddenly wrinkled and his tone was sharp. Father, there is no rock ninja village, and the entire rock ninja village is gone. Lois knelt down on the ground, crying bitterly. Heartbreaking shouts resounded throughout the square. Calm down, what happened, and tell me. Onagi's eyes were suddenly gloomy, and he scolded coldly. Last night, an unknown tailed beast suddenly rioted and released the super large-tailed beast Jade. The entire village was instantly evaporated in front of the world-destroying tailed beast Jade. Not a single one of the tens of thousands of villagers was able to escape, that is. The entire land of the land has been destroyed by more than half. Lois knelt down on the ground, blood and tears in his eyes. Palm was pierced by the nails, and a lot of blood flowed as if unheard of. He hated his weakness and inability to save people. Could only watch tens of thousands of villagers being annihilated in a terrifying explosion. Trace was left. The sound of the Lois was so loud that the ninja allied forces in the entire square could hear it. Everyone clenched their fists one after another, and their faces were very ugly, especially the ninjas of Yinian village, who shed blood and tears instantly. They were struck by lightning, and it was just like news. Iwa Hidden village was completely destroyed, that is to say, all of them lost their lives. No village and no home. Everything they protected is gone. Do you know who did it? Onogi asked with a gloomy face. His heart was also full of anger, and he was on the verge of eruption. Lois shook his head weakly. I don't know. The village to prevent outsiders from intruding. Suddenly, a terrifying roar was felt, and a behemoth appeared. It is a tailed beast he has never seen before, condensing the terrifying tailed beast Jade that covers the sky and the sun. That moment, he made a decisive decision and rushed to the land of thunder. Onagi's eyes flashed and he made a decision. It was Kangdo Yagami, who said it loudly and indulged the tailed beast to destroy the entire Yan'an village, that is. Kangdo Yagami. Onagi's eyes were firm, and Sen let out a cold voice. Father, you. Lois can't believe it, there is no evidence, this is framed. Everyone's anger has nowhere to vent, and Yagami Kangdo is indeed declaring war on our 5 major countries, only he can attack our rock ninja village. Onogi growled in a low voice. Lois's eyes flickered, and he didn't care much, he could only obey his father's orders. Wangtu, say, what did you see, who actually controlled the tailed beast and destroyed Yan'an village? Onogi roared suddenly. It's the goddamn Iori Kangdo, it's him, I saw him control the tail beast and release the tail beast Jade. Lois stared round and roared in response. All this was seen in the eyes of the top leaders of the other 4 countries, but they did not speak. The people of Iwanan village now need to vent, otherwise it is very likely to cause unnecessary turmoil. Only by choosing the object of hatred above Yagami Kangdo, can they turn grief and anger into strength. Ah! It turned out to be the 8 gods Kangdo, he is a murderer, a devil. Immediately, there was a specific target to vent, and a rolling sound swept through. Everyone was cursing Yagami Kangdo, and their anger made them want to go to Konoha village now and smash Yagami Kangdo into tens of thousands of pieces. Boom! It was at this moment that there was a loud explosion that shook the world. Madness swept over, affecting the 50,000 coalition forces of the Land of Thunder. That is. Terumi Mei's pupils shrank suddenly, and the source of the explosion sound was the direction of Karayan village, the Land of Water. Could it be that Wuin village was also attacked by the tailed beast Jade? Terumi Mei was swaying and murmured in a trance. From the scale of the explosion just now, I am afraid that the entire Wuin village will be swallowed up by the sea. Wuin village is gone, PFFT. Qing's throat was sweet, his mouth opened, and a bloody arrow shot out. He was surrounded by boundless anger, watching the ninja coalition roar. Kill Yagami Kingta, our Korean village is gone, it's all this damn bastard. What? Wuin village is gone. It's also the damn devil that Yagami Kingdu did. How could he do this to innocent lives? Yagami Kingdu, I'm going to cut off your head to comfort the dead villagers. Rolling sounds swept through, and the 50,000 coalition troops roared loudly in indignation. They have fallen into boundless madness, and vengeance has taken over all their hearts. Originally, ordinary civilians who wanted to let Konoha go, but at this moment, they wanted to kill them all. Let's go, Konoha village, Handblade Yagami Kingdu, take revenge for all the villagers of Wuin village and all the villagers of Yan'an village. Ruki roared at the right time, guiding everyone's emotions. Under the leadership of the major national film, the mighty 50,000 coalition army began to run towards Konoha. The speed of the ninja coalition, because of the trend of hatred, is as fast as thunder. Originally, the land of thunder was not too far from Konoha, and soon came to the junction. Only when they got to the junction, they couldn't move on. Because of the front, there are a lot of ninjas from Konoha village. The leaders are mostly familiar faces. Tsunade Haim, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Namikaze Minato, Hataki-san, Uzumaki Kushina, etc. The peak combat power of Konoha village is coming out of the nest, that is, to move the battlefield forward. Suppress the five-nation coalition without affecting its existence. But at this moment, in the face of the menacing five-nation coalition forces, Tsunade Haim and the others were a little confused. So angry. The momentum of the five-nation coalition forces is too angry, which they have never seen before. Tsunade and the others are also people who have been on the battlefield, and have experienced countless battles, big and small. I have never seen such a huge five-nation coalition army, obviously not from a village, but actually share the same enemy. In the direction of Konoha with boundless anger and murderous intent. Kill, for the sake of the ninja world, for the rock ninja village, for the misty hidden village. Kill, kill, kill. The saying goes, when enemies meet, they are particularly jealous. As soon as he saw Konoha, the five-nation alliance seemed to have found a vent. Roaring and rushing up, all kinds of ninjutsu kept falling. Huo Dunhao Fireball. Water Escape Water Dragon Bomb. A great river of earth and earth. Countless ninjutsu, most of them are area ninjutsu. In the face of the unreserved ultimate move, everyone on Konoha's face was very solemn. Fortunately, they are all elites. Although they are under great pressure, they are still able to fight back. It's just that they were about to make a move when a giant creature covering the sky blocked their way. The red body, the stalwart back to the sky. Complete body Susanoo. Boom boom boom. Countless ninjutsu fell on the Wudengu's armor, making a loud noise, but it didn't break the defense at all. Damn, what is this that can't break the defense at all? The vanguard team of the five-nation allied forces was stunned. There were more than 10 Jonin members in the team, and the collective attack of thousands of people could not cause any damage to the giant in front of them. Only then did they know why Konoha had confidence, declare war with their five-nation coalition. With such a terrifying weapon, what about the 50,000 coalition army? Boom boom boom. The crimson complete body Susanoo, holding a Yata mirror, condensed a terrifying energy ball similar to a tailed beast jade. Wrapped in super strong wind pressure, many people in the vanguard of the five-nation alliance were unable to stand firm. Everyone spread out with all their strength to avoid the attack. Onogi, who was in the lead, roared. At the same time, the fourth Meg Rakage looked at his younger brother, Kurabi. Think of a way with Oxtail. Good. Kurabi nodded and rushed out across the crowd. Now, he is the only one left. Blink of an eye, Kurabi, who communicated with the bull ghost, began to cover the tailed beast suit all over. A huge ghost appeared behind Kurabi, with a bloody mouth, condensing the tailed beast jade. Let's do it all. At the same time, Onogi burst into a drink. He hovered in midair and activated Dust Escape. The technique of peeling off the boundaries of dust escape. The upgraded version of the peeling technique of the original realm has a larger range, stronger power, and has a lasting effect. When he was defeated in the hands of Yagami Kingdu back then, Oyegi changed his lazy personality and improved the dust escape day and night. I thought it would be useless. Now, it finally comes in handy. Ha ha ha, I thought you were old, I really underestimated you. Seeing the outbreak of Onogi, the fourth generation Reikage laughed. At the same time, his Lei-Dun chakra activated, and countless arcs surged. How stabs are all in one hand. Inherited the last wish of his father, the 3 generations of Reikage. Cultivating the strongest stab from hell. Whether it is attack power or destructive power, it is comparable to the level of forbidden art. Terumi may also flipped his hands like lightning, cast level forbidden art, and burst into danger. Rogi is slightly weaker, this level he could not intervene in the battle at all, and could only watch from the sidelines. At this time, the complete body Susanoo condensed the energy ball comparable to the tail beast jade condensed by the Yata mirror, and the condensing was completed. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 86, Heavier Rock. Thunder Abuse Level Chio Dance. Complete body Susanoo, the energy ball condensed by the Yata mirror, the power is comparable to the small-tailed beast jade. This is an artifact, and there is also the pupil power of Yashin Kingdu's Samsara Eye, and its power is almost destroying the world. Although it can't be compared to the one that destroyed Iwa Ninja Village, the area explosion that destroyed a Konoha village is totally fine. The 5-nation alliance is here, don't leave, just stay. In the middle of Susanoo, the Yagami Sudo started his move. Energy ball flew out and slammed into the vanguard of the 5-nation alliance. The Konoha ninja restrained their actions and looked at the behemoth in front of them in horror. Listening to the voice just now, the person who controlled it was actually Kingdu Yagami. The pressure caused by the falling of the energy ball was too great. No matter what level of ninja, whether it is upper or lower, there is always an aura of death coming out of my heart. My God, I can't move. The wind pressure alone is comparable to ninjutsu. What kind of monster is this? The face of death, someone in the 5-nation coalition continued to roar. They wanted to fight hard, but couldn't make a complete seal. Hedon watched in horror as the energy ball kept approaching, completely lost his combat effectiveness, and fell to the ground. They have experienced many battlefields, but this is the first time they have seen such an attack. Hard to resist, what a shit. And just when they were desperate and waiting for death, Kurabi still had the tailed beast jade prepared by the 8-tailed ox ghost, but it was almost the same. Oh, the tailed beast jade is here, let me all get out of the way. Kurabi's special rap reverberates in the air. Immediately afterwards, the condensed giant tailed beast jade blasted out, offsetting the pressure brought by the energy ball. The vanguard of the 5-nation coalition forces fled one after another, as if receiving amnesty. Instant, the 8-tailed beast jade Yata mirror energy ball collided. 2. The terrifying wind pressure condensed in the blink of an eye, and they continued to devour each other. A violent shock wave swept out, and a violent roar was heard, as if the sky was collapsing. Hoo-hoo. The wind was howling, and many trees were uprooted. Fortunately, the explosion caused the 5-nation coalition to escape. In the face of the violent hurricane, Gaara released the empty sand barrier in an instant, creating a huge sandby to block it. At the same time, the quicksand storms were released one after another to change the environment of the entire area, turning the completely standing body of Susanoo into a desert. The golden ring and the sandstorm burial, combined with the quicksand storm, attempt to crush Susanoo. At the same time, the bloodstains condensed by Onogi eliminated the dust escape, and also aimed at Susanoo, who had begun to sink deep into the condensed sand and could not move. The 4 generations of Reikage followed closely, but they were still condensing one hand. This is the ultimate killer move. Even with the strength of the 4th generation Reikage, it will take time to condense. Moreover, The Hell Stab is a melee attack, and if you rush it now, you may be accidentally injured. Such a unique skill. The purpose of the three major shadows is to smash Susanoo in an instant, and make Yagami Soto lose his fighting power. As long as there is no Yagami Kangdu, then Konoha village is a lamb to be slaughtered. Boom. Dust escape boundary peeling technique slammed into Susanoo's Wadingu armor, detonating the blazing high temperature with destructive power. It just pierced through the armor in an instant, but was blocked outside the skeleton. The crushing of the sandstorm burial is also constantly taking effect, and the powerful pressure that can instantly shatter the steel is squeezing Susanoo. Roar. But after hearing Susanoo's violent roar, Julie directly broke free from the shackles of the sandstorm burial, and rushed out from the deep sand area. At the same time, waving a 10-fist sword, he fell towards the vanguard of the Five-Nation Alliance. Boom boom boom. The continuous sonic boom sounded, and even if it hadn't fallen, one could still feel the powerful pressure of the 10-fist sword. The fourth generation of Hokage also just condensed a book, wrapped in thousands of flashing lightning arcs, and slammed into the 10-fist sword. Boom. The two sides collided and the wind pressure swept through. The attack of the 10-fist sword was disintegrated, and even burst into pieces. Before the people of the Five-Nation Alliance could rejoice, Susanoo landed on Hokage's abdomen with a punch, blasting it away like a cannonball. Flew out quickly and fell to the ground, causing a deep pit to appear. Dust filled the air. It was just a Susanoo, who had already made several shadow-level powerhouses join forces, and they were helpless. It's over, I can't stop it at all. Seeing that several battles of his own were instantly disintegrated, it was difficult to condense the next attack in a short period of time. And the Crimson Susanoo shouted again, and used the Yata mirror to condense an energy ball equivalent to the previous one in an instant. Run away. Terumi's eyes were about to split, and a meltdown erupted, creating magma protection, trying to block it. Boom. But in the end, it was powerless, and the energy ball fell directly. An explosion swept through the sky, and the sky was full of fire. The ground shattered in an instant, and a few seconds later, a violent explosion erupted. The ninja of Iwa Hidden Village, shrouded in the energy ball, was instantly enveloped within the range of the explosion of the energy ball. Ah, stop it. Anaji's eyes were splitting, roaring frantically. In an attempt to use the technique of removing the boundaries of dust escape to offset the power of the explosion, to save the ninjas of Iwa Hidden Village. The beam of light flickered across the sky, offsetting most of the explosion flames. But after all, he was unable to save too many people, and instead he was swept away by the shock wave of the explosion. Why is this happening? Mizukage Terumi may listened to the screams around her and watched the blast wave that swept through quickly, before she truly realized the outbreak of the war. And Konoha didn't keep his hands at all. Do you really want to completely destroy their 5 major countries? Shueying, du'ent be in a daze, Konoha is no longer the one. Konoha. When Terumi was stunned, Gaara rushed up and used a wall to defend. At this time, the flames filled the sky, the heat wave of the explosion, and the shock wave swept away. In such a devastating attack, no one can escape. Seeing that the explosion was about to engulf Kurabi, the 4th generation Hokage hurriedly used the Thunderbolt Chakra mode, and came to Kurabi's side at a speed that surpassed the teleportation technique. Big brother, I can still continue to release the tailed beast Jade. Kurabi's eyes were red and he gritted his teeth. Idiot, is it too late? Staying here is just courting death, get out of here. The 4th generation Hokage scolded and kicked Kurabi, and he was facing an explosion of heat. Big brother. Kurabi drank heartbreakingly, watching the 4th generation of Hokage be swept away by the heat wave of the explosion. Ha ha ha, Iori Kangdu, I will never lose to someone like you, Yunren Village is undefeated. Hokage laughed wantonly, rushing with electric arcs all over his body, and instantly cast 3 stabs of hell, aiming at the heat wave of the explosion. Boom! The heat wave of the explosion engulfed everything, and the earth shook ceaselessly. The ninjas in the hidden village of 10,000 rocks didn't even scream, and instantly their bodies fell apart and turned to ashes. When the dust and smoke dissipated, a huge crater with a diameter of several hundred meters appeared on the side of the 50,000 coalition troops. Ground turned into charcoal, and tens of thousands of ninjas in the hidden village of Yanyan were almost killed and injured. A bang! Onamu charged out of the ruins and saw this scene. Onogi, whose eyes were bloodshot, couldn't help roaring, "Agami Kangdu, I'm not inseparable with you." PFF'd. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and Onogi stumbled and fell to the ground. It's all over. Yanyan village was destroyed, leaving only more than 10,000 Yanyan village ninja army. Now, after a wave of 9 floors was destroyed, Oyemu couldn't accept this fact at all. And the power of the explosion, the high temperature of the heat wave, made the dead ninjas in Iwahiding village without their bones. A gust of wind blew through, and only fine gravel surging in the deep pit. Ah, Yanyan village is gone, gone. Onogi roared in pain, and the old tears flowed. Except for himself, the black earth and the loess were all buried. Terumi May also crawled out of the ruins in embarrassment, and his pupils trembled as he watched the scene that seemed to destroy the world. That she understood why the older generation in the village had been reminding every generation for decades. Yagami Kangdu, how terrifying. And Reikage, who used the hell thrust, lost his arm. It was smashed by Keegan from the shoulder, dripping with blood. One move, just one move. The general of the Iron Country, Ruki, died, and all the ninjas who surpassed Manman Yanyan village perished. Reikage, Tsuchikage was seriously injured, and only she and Gaara were left with intact combat power. If it goes on like this, is it really Konoha's opponent? This is only Yagami Kangdu who shot alone, and all the ninjas in Konoha village are still watching the show. At this moment, everyone's heart is desperate. You don't have to fight at all. Yagami Kangdu alone surrounded them with 50,000 coalition troops. Big brother. Kurabi rushed forward and supported the fourth Reikage. Blood on the arm has stopped flowing, but the combat power has dropped by at least 3 layers. Also, Hell Thrust can no longer be used. Be strong, it's not your fault, brother. You are the only one left, and there is still that guy to deal with, so don't lose your confidence. The 4th generation Reikage viciously gave Kurabi a shudder, reminding him. Lord Earth Shadow. The remaining Iwanan dug up the ruins and took out Onogi. But his face was stern, and he directly used the dust to fly away. The 8 gods Kangdu, I must pay for your life. Konoha, take your life to pay for the lives of the tens of thousands of people in my Yanyan village. With a loud shout, Oyemu wanted to continue to use the dust escape, but was kicked back into the ruins by someone. Idiot. Uchiha Hirakawa, who appeared suddenly, sneered disdainfully. If you want to bully others, you must have the ability to bear the consequences. Chose to take advantage of Konoha's weakness to oppress, so the consequences now are. They should bear it. An innocent white lotus, pretending to be a fart. Nasty people or not. Lord Toying. Onogi. Gaara blurted out in shock. Words fell, the ninjas of Konoha village started. Hundreds of flaming fireballs exploded in a row. The fire was extinguished. Toad oil. Yekora erupted, followed by Uchiha Makoto, and Jiraiya also assisted in spraying toad oil. Immediately after the vortex Kushina, a wind escape was thrown up, and the flames burst into flames. The fire took advantage of the wind, and the terrifying monstrous flames swept out. Ah! The dozens of Iwanan who bear the brunt of the screams kept screaming, and in the blink of an eye they turned into coke all over the floor. Damn, you are courting death. Gaara shouted violently, and the yellow sand fluttered in the sky, squeezing in the direction of Konoha. Sand funeral. Boom. Matekai directly turned into a blue beast under the blue sky, opening the 7th shocking door. Roar. The white tiger roared, and high-pressure gas bombs swept out. Instant, the 5-nation coalition, and hundreds of ninjas were killed on the spot. Konoha ninja village's shots are all shadow powerhouses, which is simply a one-sided slaughter. Dust escape. The strong Onogi climbed up again. The terrifying boundary was peeled off and released in the blink of an eye, but was blocked again by the complete body Susanoo. At the same time, Yata mirror was used as a stone, and smashed it hard on Onogi. Sank deep into the ground like a cannonball, but the huge Susanoo hardly stopped. Put away the 8-handed mirror, the 10-fist sword, and attack with pure fists. A punch hit the ground, and it fell on Oyegi with precision. The ground shattered and collapsed. Protect Tsuchikage-sama. Tuden Dragon Bomb. Tuden Dungeon is empty. Tuden splits the earth and turns palms. A lot of ninjutsu is flying, the rocks are overwhelming and the hurricane is sweeping. The ninjutsu released by hundreds of people, even Lu Daozen will not choose to resist hard. Ha ha ha, Konoha, do you think that just a few of you can stop our 50,000 strong coalition army? 4 generations of Reikage roared and laughed. Thunder and lightning patterns all over his body swept through again, and if he wanted to join the battlefield directly, he was the first to find Yagami Kangdu. Isn't it a coalition of 40,000 troops? Yagami Sudo released Susanoo, and sneered at the 4th eye Reikage. Lei Ying's pupils shrank suddenly, his face extremely gloomy. At the same time, hundreds of Earth Escape ninjutsu have also been thrown up. 7th. Shocked. Heavenly Dragon. The blue steam burst out suddenly, and a breath similar to Matekai enveloped Yagami Kangdu. That swept out was fundamentally different. Roar. There was a faint terrifying Tianlong roaring behind Yagami Kangdu, stunned by the 4th generation Reikage who rushed over. My god, what the hell is this? Every time he sees Yagami Soto, he hides in an extraordinary defensive body like Susanoo, which gives Reikage a wrong judgment. I thought that Yagami Kangta was the same as ordinary ninjas, with super strong ninjutsu but average physical fitness. As long as he could be approached, he would definitely win the final victory. But the Yagami Soto, who is now wrapped in blue steam, has given the 4th generation a terrifying power that is beyond the reach of Reikage. Just like an ant facing an elephant, that feeling of powerlessness made Reikage the 4th generation fall into deep despair. But now, there is no point in choosing to run away. The 4th generation of Mu Leiying's eyes were about to split, so he could only bite the bullet and rush up. I'll help you. Anamu stood up tremblingly from the rubble, and his hatred for Yagami Kangdu did not allow him to fall now. The technique of Earth Escape and aggravating the rock. Lei abuse level Chiyo Mai. A terrifying blow that can shatter Uchiha Madarasu Sanahu, and implement the 4 generations of Reikage and Onogi's hatred of Yagami Sudo. This is the strongest hit of their combination. Increase the level of Iwale abuse Chiyo dance. Chapter 88. In the end, the 10 tails recover. On the side of the 5-nation allied forces, the highest combat powers were all smashed by Yagami Kangdu. The remaining 5-nation coalition forces could not withstand the attack of the Konoha ninjas. Whether it's the new Sanin, Uzumaki Kushina, Uchiha Makoto, and Yukura's combination, or the combination of the old-times Sanin, Jiraiya, Orochimaru and Tsunade, all made the 5 nations allied forces feel despair. What's more, there are Namikaze Minato, Konoha Baya and others. Because of the existence of Yagami Kangdu, not all 12 Shaoqiang were born, but the strongest of their father's generation were left behind. Come out, the next work should be handed over to you. After cancelling the 8 gates Dunjia formation, Yagami Kangdu walked slowly towards Kurabi. Of the 5-nation allied forces fled when they saw Yagami Kangdu, even if they roughly guessed his purpose. Heiju also appeared, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Yao, are you finally going to welcome the return of Mother? Iori Kangdu, you ninja demon, murderer. The ninja world is destroyed in your hands, you are the sinner of the ninja world. What you want to do, Yahweh will never be handed over to you. Let's go together and crush his conspiracy. The 8 gods Kangdu coldly glanced at the clamoring 5-nation allied forces, and said indifferently, what can't you do, the first place in the mouth cannon. At the same time, wave your hands to instantly launch a fireball. A super large fireball that reached the power of ninjutsu directly burned more than 10 five-nation coalition troops into fly ashes. This time, the clamoring people of the five-nation allied forces suddenly lost their voices. Continue to shout, as long as you dare to speak, I will continue to kill. Yagami Kingdu said indifferently and continued to walk forward. Came to Kurabi and directly put his hand on their abdomen. At the same time, Black Jew also appeared above board. What kind of monster is that? Someone exclaimed. I remember him, he seems to be one of the members of Xiao's organization. My god, sure enough, the Akatsuki organization is Konoha village developed secretly, just to devour the entire ninja world. We were all deceived. Is there anyone else to stop them? The Eye of the Moon plan absolutely cannot let them realize it. Seeing the appearance of Heiju, someone collapsed, ignoring Yagami Kingdu's warning. We're swarming, and from all directions, people from the five-nation allied forces rushed up. Just before they could start ninjutsu, Uchiha Hirakawa suddenly appeared. He was also surprised by Heiju's appearance, but it didn't interfere with his desire to protect Yagami Kingdu. Amaterasu, the inextinguishable black flame with the strongest physical attack. Black flames swept out, instantly igniting the five-nation coalition at the forefront. The people behind them couldn't dodge in time, and they were also infected. The black flames burned quickly, and the white bones were exposed in an instant. The screams continued, and some people stepped back. But there were too many people rushing to kill behind, and it was completely unpredictable. On top of the chain reaction, more than 100 people were infected with black flames. Someone made a quick decision and cut off the part contaminated with black inflammation, saving his life, but was also seriously injured. Most of them were hesitant, and were directly burned into powder by the black flames. Not even bones, turned into ashes, and there is no trace of existence in this world. At the same time, Yagami Kingdu pressed his abdomen and began to use the unraveling seal. Yao, come out. A strong wave radiated from Kurabi's body. Yagami Kingdu pulled one hand towards the outside as if he had fallen into the water. Blue chakra appeared, and Kurabi suddenly woke up and grabbed the arm of Yagami Kingdu. Heiju, you are also a member of the Xiao organization. He was stunned, and he never thought that the Akatsuki organization who wanted to destroy the shinobi world was actually from Konoha. In this way, what happened today is that Konoha had a plan. The past few decades, it seems that Konoha has been pressurized, but in fact, it has long been planned. This is the idea in the minds of most of the five-nation coalition forces, but Yagami Kingdu does not know that their ability to associate is so rich. Of course, knowing it doesn't matter. Even if I die, I can't give you the 8 tails. Kurabi's eyes were red, and he roared wildly, while trying to stop Yagami Kingdu's pulling action. Very strong, but I don't need your consent. Yagami Kingdu smiled and punched Kurabi's heart with a fist. A big mouthful of blood sprayed. Kurabi's resistance was much weaker. Another punch fell, and Kurabi's chest was completely pierced, completely losing the ability to resist. Yagami Kingdu suddenly pulled hard, and the soul of the 8-tailed bull demon was pulled directly out. At the same time, Yagami Kingdu performed a psychic technique. Bang! A loud noise, the smoke filled the air, and a behemoth appeared in front of everyone. Roar! The open-eyed outsider golem roared and trampled the ground. Yagami Kingdu then slammed it hard and threw the 8-tailed bull ghost's chakra into the mouth of the outsider golem. The outsider golem exerted force and swallowed directly. Instant, more than half of the tailed beast chakra was completely pulled away by the outsider golem. The next moment, the 10-10 red visions of the outsider golem suddenly opened, spitting out the phantom dragon and 9 seals. The magic dragon 9 seals, which originally required the release of 9 high-level ninjas, was easily cast by an outsider golem at this moment. Roar! The outsider golem roared, and the pressure on his body became more and more terrifying. Gathered 9 nine-tailed beasts of the outsider golem and began to revive his true strength. Chakra climbed infinitely, and the surrounding earth shattered with a roar. Many ninjas of the 5-nation allied forces wanted to escape, but were suppressed by the pressure of terror. But those who were affected did not even scream, and were directly stepped into the depths of the ground. At the same time, the body of the outsider golem began to undergo an incredible transformation. An eye appeared on the forehead, and the pupil had 6 ripples. 10 dark pillars were constantly rising behind him. All this indicates that the real 10 tails are about to come. Roar. Roaring, the Outlander golem looked around at everyone. Whether it was the 5-nation allied forces or the Konoha ninja, they all felt an unprecedented coldness. 10 tails, is this the 10 tails? It's terrifying. The real mentality of the god tree is actually like this. It's not something that humans can match at all. The 10 tails were resurrected, and the coercion exuded made everyone despair. This is no longer the category of human beings, but of gods. Unlike the self-proclaimed godlike man like Nagato, the outsider golem fuses the power of the 9-tailed beasts, but revives the energy that originally belonged to it. Born to be an outsider golem with the power of God, it is simply the existence of the invincible ninja world. The things that make you ready, are you ready? Yagami Kanto looked at Heiju and asked. Everything is going according to plan, and now that the 10 tails are resurrected, there is only one 10-tailed Manzuli. Heiju nodded and used his mind perception to notify Madara Uchiha who was sleeping. As an absolutely unmissable part of the plan, Madara Uchiha, who successfully obtained the Eye of Samsara, is the key to resurrecting Kagaya. Originally intended to be exploited, Heiju cooperated with Yagami Kanto, and sold Madara Uchiha without any psychological burden. Chapter 89, 6 Spots, the Moon Eye Plan starts. Ha ha ha, did the plan finally succeed? Under the ground, Madara Uchiha laughed wildly and came out with a bang. Looking at the apocalyptic scene in front of him, he ignored everything and saw only the 10 tails roaring wildly. Madara, as long as you fuse the 10 tails, you will not only be able to regain power, but also gain immortality. Thousands of black absolutely timely remind Uchiha Madara. As for Yagami Aoto, in order not to arouse Uchiha Madara's suspicion, he had already returned to the camp of Konoha village. Tsunade and the others were very puzzled, not understanding why Yagami Soto had resurrected Jouei, and was still planning to let Madara act as a human Zuri. But none of them have a problem. Since it is Yagami Kangdo's decision, it is definitely not wrong, just support it unconditionally. So, a strange scene happened. Everyone stopped and quietly watched Madara Uchiha appear above Jouei's head. A crack suddenly appeared, and the 10-tailed chakra began to be pulled away. Roar! Roaring frantically, the crimson eyes of Samsara burst out with destructive rays of light, instantly killing hundreds of ninjas from the allied forces of the 5 nations. It has fallen into unconscious madness and is resisting Madara Uchiha to snatch his body. But Madara Uchiha, who was already prepared, would not give Jouei a chance at all. One after another vortex twisted in Juo's heart, and Juo's body continued to merge into Uchiha Madara's body. The 10 tails were completely unable to resist, and let the black hole-like crack continue to devour him. From chakra to flesh and blood, 10 tails' body quickly shrank and entered the crack. An aurora flashed, and the night was illuminated like day. Everything seemed to be at peace. Did it fail? Tutai disappeared. Are we saved? Everyone looked at this scene in disbelief, and subconsciously blurted out in shock. But soon, their eyes were able to see things, when a blurry figure was gradually taking shape. When the temporary blindness caused by the aurora disappeared, Kurabi's exclamation suddenly resounded throughout the audience. Julie, the 10-tailed man, he has sealed the 10-tailed inside his body. It's impossible. Before there is Yagami Kangdo, and then there is Madara Uchiha, the end of the ninja world. Everyone looked up, but saw Madara Uchiha's figure suspended in the air. This is the most basic ability of the Ju tales, the most basic ability, Miku. Uchiha Madara, gravity is no longer something that can limit one's body. At the same time, Madara Uchiha's appearance has undergone tremendous changes. Skin of the whole body has completely turned white, and he is wearing a white trench coat of the 6 paths immortal. 8 jades floated in a circle. His arms and legs turned black, and he held a 6-path meditation stick in his left hand. The moment when he merged with the body of the divine tree and became the 10 powers, he obtained the reincarnation writing wheel eye, and possessed the ability to display infinite moon reading. The condescending contempt of all present, Madara Uchiha smiled. The peace of the world will be created by me in the end. Gollum. Looking at the 6 spots at the moment, everyone swallowed their saliva unconsciously. They stared at Madara Uchiha in the mid-air in amazement. This was the first time they saw the legendary Ju-tailed man Zuri. The impact it brings to them is unparalleled. Can't beat it. It's the only thought in their minds. Damn, the ninja world, is the ninja world really going to be destroyed? I'm not reconciled. There were ninjas from the 5-Nation Alliance, roaring as they hit the ground with their hammers in pain. After all, it is a human being. Madara Uchiha can be killed by the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, but he is still a human being, not a god at all, and naturally he is not invincible. Who participated in Iwa Ninja Village roared and charged towards Uchiha Madara with a face full of determination. The technique of adding rock to the earth. The earth is the Yellow Spring Marsh. With the ninja taking the lead in Iwa Ninja Village, other members of the 5-Nation Coalition also realize that now is not the time for decadence. There may be a chance of survival. But if you give up directly, you will surely die. As for the originator, Yagami Kangdu, he had been ignored for a long time. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of the allied forces of the 5 nations gathered and released ninjutsu towards Madara Uchiha. Various types of control ninjutsu and offensive ninjutsu overlap, and the power increases exponentially. The impact that burst out in an instant is comparable to the tailed beast Jade. Of the overlapping of thousands of people's ninjutsu can be imagined. Seeking the Jade. Madara Uchiha, who felt that he was already invincible, did not panic at all, and the black begging Jade behind the manipulator directly met everyone's ninjutsu. In front of him, a small protective wall is formed, which looks very inconspicuous. But what is desperate is that no matter any ninjutsu touches the Daoyu, all of them are ineffective and annihilated. Chu Daoyu contains 7 chakra changes of temperament, except space ninjutsu. Other ninjutsu contacts will be directly invalidated. Ninjutsu is ineffective, how can we fight? The last hope of the allied forces was dashed. Seeing that ninjutsu can't cause damage, some people even want to get close to Uchiha Madara and take close combat. Madara Uchiha smiled coldly, waving the begging Jade and shooting out. The earth escapes for thousands of miles and the earth flow wall. The earth flow wall stretches for thousands of miles in front of the 5-Nation Coalition forces, trying to resist the Taoist Jade. Unfortunately, in the face of the ineffectiveness of ninjutsu, it shattered into slag without hindrance. Chu Daoyu slammed into the center of the crowd, causing a lot of damage. Hundreds of thousands of casualties directly caused heavy losses to the 5-Nation Coalition. Meanwhile, in a corner that no one noticed, With a Hat quietly observed the development of the situation. After waiting until Madara Uchiha appeared, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It's been like a day for decades, and it's finally coming to an end. Come out, filthy earth reincarnated. With one hand on the ground, the man in black robe directly performed the legendary forbidden technique. Instant, the figures of Hokage, Raikage, Sokage, Tsukage and others of all dynasties were formed in the blink of an eye. Someone resurrected us again. Who are you? Why are you reincarnated in the dirt? Shinsho Tobarama noticed the black-robed man just as well. Having the breath of the Uchiha clan and my Thousand-Hand clan at the same time, who are you? The first Hokage and Senju Hashirama also frowned and asked. Having time to ask so many questions, why not look at the battlefield in the distance? Black Robe smiled, and his figure gradually disappeared into the air. The strange state has blinded the shadow-level powerhouses of the major ninja villages of all dynasties. As strong as Chinchujujian, he did not sense how the black-robed man disappeared. But they didn't have time to pursue the identity of the black-robed man, and when they looked back, a doomsday scene unfolded in front of them. The land was devastated, and the people of the major ninja villages were killed and injured countless times. Seeing the figure suspended in midair, Chisho Hasuma blurted out in shock, "How is it possible, Madara Uchiha is still alive?" Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 90, The Six Path Immortals, The Secret of the Otsutsuki Sect. The sudden reincarnation of the filthy earth in the distance made Yagami Kingdu frown. Keiju hurriedly appeared to explain, "It has nothing to do with me, and I don't know who it is, who performed the reincarnation of the dirty earth and summoned the shadows of all dynasties." At the same time, the shadows of all dynasties no longer care what the black-robed people are, and use the dirty earth to reincarnate to summon them. The figure burst into a flash and rushed directly to the battlefield. With heavy casualties, the shadows of the major ninja villages being resurrected are full of anger. Uchiha Madara. From their point of view, all of this was obviously done by Madara Uchiha. The entire ninja world, there is no second person with such strength now. Madara Uchiha soon noticed the existence of Senju Harama, and his face was full of emotion. "Hashiyama, long time no see." Chinchujuma did not have a long mood, and said solemnly, "Mara, is this the peace you want, a world without war? I once said that human beings are greedy, and there is no peace between people who understand each other. Now, my ideal peaceful world is about to be born. I want to use the power of the 10 tails to launch the infinite moon reading, let the people of the whole world fall into a deep sleep, and in the endless illusion, everyone can realize their dreams, so that the world will be peaceful forever." Speaking of infinite monthly reading, Madara Uchiha's mood clearly fluctuated. Chinchujuma frowned. "Madara, your thinking is too extreme, and you are pursuing a peaceful way, and I will not approve it anyway." Madara Uchiha chuckled. "I didn't want your approval either. Why didn't the Battle of the End Valley break out? Isn't it because our ideas didn't agree?" After all, a blue behemoth rose from the ground. The terrifying pupil power made everyone at the scene feel the absolute terrifying pressure. "Madara, why do you have to fight? This goes against our original intention of wanting world peace." Thousands of hand pillars persuade each other bitterly. It's just that Madara Uchiha's face was cold, and he quietly watched Senju Hashima without speaking. "Since I still can't convince you, it seems that I can only play one game. But again, I hope you can turn around," Chinchujuma said. As soon as the voice fell, Hakuma entered the immortal mode in an instant. "Your hands together and summon a huge Buddha statue with countless huge arms." The Buddha statue is capable of striking with thousands of huge fists and crushing enemies. Complete Body Susanoo directly collided with the giant Buddha summoned by Shanfa Mu Dungeon with thousands of hands on top of it. Of the two giants erupted, and the sky was shattered. Every collision was like rolling thunder, and everyone was stunned. Is this the power of the gods? Senju Hashirama is really powerful, and even a spot can be hardened. At this time, on Konoha's side, Yagami Kingdu was watching the sudden appearance of the Six Path Immortals with great interest. Just a few seconds ago, on Konoha's side, other than Shen Kantu, the others suddenly stopped moving. It was as if someone had used immobilization, and then the Six Path Immortals appeared out of thin air. That the 8 gods Kingdu has seen the Six Paths Immortal. "Son, your breath is very similar to my mother's," the Six Paths Immortal said. Yagami Kingdu's mouth glanced at him. According to the sealing technique obtained by the moon, he may still be the cousin of the Six Paths Immortal. This relationship is a bit complicated. Seeing that the 8 gods Kingdu did not speak, Immortal Six Paths thought that he was shocked by himself, and said, "The reason why I came here is to ask you. Ever notice that in our ninja world, outsiders who don't belong here are mixed in? You mean, are you from the Otsutsuki clan? Yagami Kanto asked. Six-Path Immortal said calmly, it seems that you know more than I thought. Will you kill him? Perhaps, I haven't decided yet. Yagami Kanto shrugged. He really didn't lie, and he didn't have too many thoughts on how to deal with Otsutsuki. The original plan was to at least recapture the fruit of the divine tree swallowed by Kagaya. Now suddenly another member of the Otsutsuki clan has appeared, and he is secretly doing things, which makes him feel that things are not so simple. Son, some things are just fine to keep in mind. The Otsutsuki family is not as simple as you think, don't do stupid things. The voice of the eight gods Kangdu fell, a figure that was extremely imaginary with the six-path immortals also appeared. Otsutsuki Hamura. Yagami Kangdu raised his eyebrows. Unexpectedly, not only the six-path immortals are alive, but also Otsutsuki Hamura. Actually, I'm also here to remind you, try not to get in touch with the Otsutsuki clan, they are unimaginable existences. The Six Paths Immortal continued. Yagami Kangdu smiled and said nothing. Perhaps with his current ability, he really did not have the strength to provoke the Otsutsuki clan. But when you get back the fruit of the divine tree on Kagaya, it's hard to say. Of course, Yagami Kangdu didn't plan to tell the two brothers Ludao immortals about these things. Brother, what should I do? He seems to be too inflated and can't hear anything. Otsutsuki Yumura used his thoughts to talk to the six paths of immortals. It's not that this kid is bloated, it's that we are getting old. Perhaps, the two of us together might not be able to beat him. The six-path immortals clearly saw it more thoroughly. Back then, Immortal Toad accurately predicted what happened to their mother Kagaya, and also left a message for them. Thousands of years later, an alien will come to the ninja world, and they have been waiting. Through secret observation, in the entire ninja world, only Yagami Kangdu is a person who cannot see through the immortals of the six paths. It's impossible to make Big Brother, you are already an immortal, even your mother has been sealed by you. Otsutsuki Hamura exclaimed in surprise. Immortal Six Paths shook his head. Hey, you know about that, but it's the mother who didn't want to be cruel. When the words were over, Immortal Six Paths did not want to continue the topic of her mother Kagaya, and change the topic. This world is already owned by young people. We have been dead for too long, and our strength is weak to the limit. It is very difficult to maintain one's own existence, and it is impossible to withstand the prying eyes of the Otsutsuki clan. It's time to let go. Your name is Yagami Kanto, right? Immortal Six Paths looked at Kangdu, the eight gods again, and asked. Yagami Kanto nodded slightly. We are getting old, and this world should be handed over to your juniors. There are secrets about the Otsutsuki clan, and I want to hand them over to you. The Six Paths Immortal said. Iori Kangdu raised his eyebrows in doubt. Do you know more about the Otsutsuki clan? Chapter 91. Infinite Monthly Reading. The world will usher in true peace. Chosen to trust the eight gods Kangdu, the six-path immortals did not hide it, and said directly, actually, my brother Yumura and I have been to the Otsutsuki clan. The Otsutsuki clan is a super clan in the universe, and there are many strong people. In their hands is, relying on plundering the fruit of the divine tree in various worlds, they gain powerful power and prolong their lifespan. Other words, as long as the people of the Otsutsuki clan have the fruit of the divine tree, they will not die. At the beginning, Hanamura and I accidentally discovered the passage to the Otsutsuki clan, and in order to completely solve the hidden dangers of the ninja world, we especially went to the Otsutsuki clan. Hoped to be able to negotiate with them, but accidentally got into a fight. The others are not the opponents of our two brothers, but the elders of the Otsutsuki clan are really formidable. There were only 4 in total, almost crushing us. Until the end, the most mysterious patriarch of the Otsutsuki clan did not appear. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to return to the ninja world. We escaped the catastrophe and escaped back to the ninja world using the ability of the reincarnation eye. In order to avoid being directly invaded by the Otsutsuki clan, they took the price of their lives, sealed the passage, and protected the ninja world to this day. Yagami Kanto fell silent. This is indeed a very useful piece of information, and he may also go to the Otsutsuki clan after regaining the fruit of the divine tree. Well, what we just told you is all we know. I hope one day, you can really help the ninja world get rid of the threat of the Otsutsuki clan. Yagami Kangdu nodded, but did not speak. It's hard to say if you get rid of your own race. How can he say that he is also the young patriarch of the Otsutsuki clan, and he beats himself? Isn't this a commotion? Then you know, where is the passage to the Otsutsuki clan? The 8 gods Kangdu asked. Immortal Six Paths and Otsutsuki Yumura looked at each other, not wanting to reveal it. However, since the matter is here, there is no point in hiding it. The coordinates are on the mother. If you want to open the channel, you need to unlock the seal of the mother. The 6 Paths Immortal said. We know that Mother's seal will not last long. Even if there is no such thing as the ninja world, she will soon be able to open the seal. At that time, a conflict with the Otsutsuki clan is very likely to break out. I hope you can protect the ninja world. Slight nod at Yagami Kangdu. Immortal 6 Paths left with Otsutsuki Yumura. As the two left, the space blockade was also released. Konoha ninjas didn't notice the abnormality either, and continued to observe the battle between Madara Uchiha and Senju Hashirama. It's almost time, Hasuma, let you see my true power now. Suddenly, during the fierce battle, Madara Uchiha chuckled softly. There was a slight stun between the 1,000-hand pillars, and the body was suddenly pulled down from the top of the Buddha in an uncontrollable manner. Madara Uchiha used the ability of the reincarnation eye to create a black iron rod that hinders the flow of chakra. The black iron rod immediately penetrated the limbs and chest of the 1,000 Hands pillar. Uchiha and Senju, those who get these two powers will be able to achieve true happiness. If you say that, you can make sense. Madara Uchiha closed his eyes and said to Senju Hasuma. It seems that after you left the village, a lot of things happened. Chinshujujian frowned, his tone gradually cold. It's just that I have the same idea. It shows that the world is on the right track, and my philosophy is the most consistent. Madara Uchiha shook his head and said, however, this rebirth is completely within my plan. Seeing Madara Uchiha biting herself madly, Senju Hashirama's face was grim, but she couldn't move at all. The black iron bar blocked the flow of his chakra. Immediately afterwards, Madara Uchiha started directly. Squeezing the neck of Chinshozuma, with the ability of the hungry ghost, he absorbed the fairy chakra in the first generation. At the same time, on his chest, the face of Senju Hashirama with a fairy face appeared. Is this the immortal chakra? This power, that's what it is, and it's not difficult to control. After the words fell, Madara Uchiha no longer paid attention to Senju Hasuma, but walked in the direction of Senju Tobarama. Senju Tobarama noticed the arrival of Madara Uchiha, and hurriedly looked at Senju Hasuma, and found that Senju has been locked in place. Chinsho Tobarama's face changed greatly, and he also had the intention of retreating in his heart, but now he is obviously no longer Uchiha Madara's opponent. Just a few encounters, Senju Tobarama was nailed to the ground by a black iron rod. Madara, stop it, our era is over. Chinsho Toi said in a deep voice. I just want to replace Hakuma and realize the creation of the country he didn't finish. Madara Uchiha looked at Chinsho Tobarama calmly, and said, but this world belongs to the predecessor, Hasuma, who fell short of success. For a dying world, it needs to be taken as a rude way. Unlimited monthly reading, that's how you figure it out. Chinsho Tobarama smiled coldly. That's right, there is a contradiction in the country Yuma wants to create. Madara Uchiha firmly said, people long for peace, but also long for war. Man is born with these two natures. Removing war and retaining only the desire for peace only shows that man is no longer man. The two coexist. To protect something, you have to pay a certain price. Except for the dream world that can be created by reading unlimited months, there is no way to escape this law. It was also when Madara Uchiha was dealing with the two brothers of Senju, on the side of Konoha shinobi, Uzumaki Kushina came to Yagami Kingta with some anxiety. "Brother Kanto, don't we stop Madara Uchiha?" Uzumaki Kushina asked. A group of Konoha ninjas are actually very curious, but no one dares to ask. At this moment, Uzumaki Kushina spoke, and they all straightened their ears. Yagami Kanto shook his head. "Our real enemy is not Madara Uchiha. I'll find out later." Although they were puzzled, the Konoha people did not ask, but waited for the development of the situation. As for the five-nation allied forces, they finally got a chance to breathe, but naturally they didn't dare to make a sound. Of Senju Hasuma and Senju Tobarama, Madara Uchiha came to the five-power allied forces. The coalition troops looked at each other in dismay, daring not to make any move. At the same time, underground, Black and White are also discussing something. Baiju and Hiju's next actions are always a little worried. "Heiju, it's too risky to do this. Once Madden finds out, we're all doomed. In order to resurrect my mother, I can only do this. Moreover, Madara Uchiha always thought that I was the incarnation of his will, and he was not defensive against me and had a great chance of success. Since ancient times, I have been planning for this day to come, and I will never allow failure." Seeing Heiju's resolute attitude, Baiju didn't say anything more. "Madara, Obito betrayed us. This is the eye of reincarnation stripped from him." Emerging from the ground, Heiju threw the small bottle in his hand to Lu Daoban. Madara Uchiha really believed in Heiju, and put his eyes directly into his own sockets. The reincarnation eye returns. Uchiha Madara can clearly find that his pupil power has changed a little. Even, there is a possibility to communicate with the Ten Tails. In his consciousness, the huge red reincarnation eye possessed by the Ten Tails appeared. Immediately afterwards, a reincarnation eye like the Ten Tails appeared between his eyebrows. Just an instant, Madara Uchiha knew all the information about the infinite moon reading technique. Madara Uchiha floated into the air and looked at the huge moon in the distance. The reincarnation writing wheel eye between the eyebrows has a connection with the moon, and the moon then becomes the Ten-Hook Jade reincarnation writing wheel eye. On the battlefield was stunned by the sudden change of the moon, and their expressions of disbelief appeared. Other side, Yagami Kingdu looked up at the moon with a smile on the corner of his mouth. "Finally, will Kagaya be resurrected? I'm really looking forward to it." Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 92, An Illusory Piece, Kagaya Otsutsuki is resurrected. Then, the huge moon flashed a dazzling aurora. Everyone on the battlefield, the eyes have become the eyes of reincarnation. This situation has spread all over the world. Including animals, all fell into the illusory world created by infinite moon reading. The ground also began to tremble, and thick branches appeared on the ground. Everyone in the Ninja Alliance and everyone in the outside world were bound by bandages and hung on the branches. Madara Uchiha was very satisfied with the release effect of infinite monthly reading, and everyone fell into a deep sleep. They both entered the world of their dreams, and everything went as expected. But sweeping through the situation of decentralization, it is found that there are still people who have not entered the infinite monthly reading. Side of Konoha, Suto Yagami is shrouded in crimson-red body Susanoo. Controlling the Gudauyu into a black tin stick, Madara Uchiha rushed over. "Ha ha ha, you are the only one left. Why continue to resist until the end? Do you want to dance too?" Madara Uchiha laughed wantonly. "Since you are not willing, then let the savior of this world do it yourself. Accept it, it's over." PFF'd. Suddenly, Madara Uchiha's body was penetrated by someone from behind. "Wrong, Madara, you're not." the savior, and it's not over yet. And hoarse voice rang out. Why do you say that? Unlike Obito, you are someone who can use everything. Don't you find it funny to think that you are the only one who is different? Spot. You are actually in an illusory dream, that is the dream I described for you. Madara's face was very ugly, and she said solemnly, Hey Ju, what are you talking about? I created you, and you are the embodiment of my will. Hee, ignorant person, all this is just what you think. My consciousness is Kagaya. Heiju laughed, and sneered in a low and hoarse voice. Words fell, and before Madara could respond, a mutation occurred. That wraps the human beings all over the world begins to absorb the chakra of the bound human beings. The ground cracked, and an amazing amount of chakra burst out of the ground. With Madara Uchiha as the center, all gathered into his body. Just an instant, Madara Uchiha's body swelled like a terrifying ball of flesh. But the chakra is still there, continuous absorption. Hey Ju, you bastard. Infinite Moon Reading is a technique released by Uchiha in order to achieve world peace. What are you doing? Madara Uchiha, who was in extreme pain, endured the pain and asked. What's your basis for saying that? Black Road. 6 Path Immortals recorded this on the stone tablet. Uchiha Madara responded. Heiju laughed and said hoarsely, Madara, you are still too stupid. I have lived too long, and I have time to find the steel left by Yui and correct it. Correction. Unlimited monthly reading has never given people a dream of peace, but to gather the chakras that everyone has and become extremely huge, just use it. Ha ha ha, Madara, stupid, it's just me, no, the flag in Kagaya's consciousness. Soon as Heiju's voice fell, Madara Uchiha's last head began to swell. At the same time, Heiju completely treated Uchiha Madara to the limit and began to shrink rapidly. Instant, a woman appeared. Pale skin, and long blue-white hair. The hair is longer than the feet, has no eyebrows, and has 2 horns on the head. Wearing a white coat with a unique hook jade pattern, his eyes are white eyes. She is the mother of the ancestor of the ninja world. Otsutsuki. Kagaya's expression was very cold, and she occasionally looked around, as if she was looking for something. What a powerful pressure. Facing Kagaya, even a group of peak powerhouses among the Konoha ninjas, also felt a heavy heart. Kangdo, is this the ultimate enemy you said? Tsunade Haim asked. The 8 gods Kangdo nodded. The ancestor of the ninja world, the mother of the 6 Path Immortals, the princess of the Otsutsuki clan, Otsutsuki Kagaya. The mother of the 6 Path Immortals, why did they choose to seal their own mother? Someone was puzzled. Probably, because of this woman's indifference to everything in the world. Emotionless eyes and unrivaled power. Such people are too threatening to stay in the world. Konoha White Fang, Hitaki-san said. Suddenly, everyone realized that Kagaya Otsutsuki's eyes did not reveal the slightest emotion. Looking at the world is like facing a dead thing. At this time, Kagaya had already walked to Naruto and Sasuke's side. It is worth mentioning that Naruto is still the child of Namikaze Minato, but his wife is another survivor of the Vortex country, who died in childbirth at the beginning. Uchiha Fuyu married someone from the Uchiha family, but not Uchiha Makoto. But the general historical plot has not been changed. Naruto and Sasuke are the reincarnations of Asura and Indra. Only when she saw Naruto and Sasuke, Kagaya's expression changed slightly. Were tears in his eyes without emotion. Suddenly, Kagaya looked in Konoha's direction. I saw the presence of Naruto and Sasuke in the crowd. Is it my child? No, it's Indra and Asura. Kagaya murmured to herself. Feel the familiar chakra in Naruto Sasuke's body, and the feeling of weak blood connection. Eyes of Kagaya Otsutsuki, the images of the 2 Narusawas in front of them gradually became Otsutsuki Yui and Otsutsuki Yumura. In the thousands of years that were sealed by these 2 brothers, Kagaya couldn't understand one thing. Why in the end, his 2 children want to seal themselves. She has always loved her child deeply, so when the Yuya brothers attacked her, she couldn't accept this fact. Kagaya didn't hate them until she was sealed. There is only the pain of betrayal by the beloved child, and the doubt. This kind of complicated feelings allowed Kagaya, who gained strength and began to destroy her humanity, to retain the last trace of kindness, which also led to her current state of confusion. In fact, from her perception, she knew right away that Naruto and Sasuke were not her two children. But the chakras in the two of them, and the ninjutsu to be performed together, are obviously very similar to those of the Six Paths Immortals. That's why Kagaya Otsutsuki, who regarded the world as his nursery, did not directly kill the two of them. Her hesitation was entirely due to the complicated feelings between the two brothers, Yui Otsutsuki and Immortal Six Paths. Kagaya's tears flowed out of her eyes involuntarily. Facing Naruto Sasuke, she muttered to herself, "I protect you when you grow up, and I have given you great power, why should you betray me?" No one answered their question, and the immortals of the Six Paths hidden in the dark would not come out to answer this question. But in the eyes of Yagami Kanto, Kagaya is just a poor person. By the Six Paths Immortal is nothing but his own idea. The so-called saving the world, but betrayed his mother, on the contrary, it is unforgivable. Forgiving love, in Yagami Kanto's view, it is stupid. Everyone can have people and things they want to protect, but they can't betray them. Chapter 93, In the Royal Palace of Heaven, Kill the Ashes. Suddenly, Kagaya made her move. Black holes appeared on both sides of her body, and Naruto Sasuke was thrown into it. Namikaze Minato, Uchiha Fuyu wanted to stop him, but there was nothing he could do. A legendary forbidden technique, in front of Kagaya, she is fragile and has no ability to resist. The third stage Susanoo opened by Uchiha Fugaku was killed in seconds, and the technique of Flying Thunder God of Namikaze Minato was predicted. Kagaya has a super space ability, and she slaps Namikaze Minato into the ground with a slap. The smoke filled the air. Tsunade and others wanted to do it, but they were stopped by Yagami Kangdu. "You are very strong, I feel the breath of the same source, are you from the Otsutsugi clan?" Looking at Yagami Kanto calmly, Kagaya was indifferent as always. "It seems that my aunt has a bad memory. She stole the fruit of the divine tree that belonged to me and forgot who I am." Yagami Kangdu's words were astonishing. At this time, there is no need to continue to hide some things. Everyone around was shocked, especially hearing Yagami Kangdu calling Kagaya her aunt. That was a character from thousands of years ago, and it was actually the aunt of Yagami Kangdu. What is Yagami Kangdu? Kagaya's emotions did not fluctuate. "The fruit of the divine tree has been swallowed by me. Do you think that with that person's bloodline, you can beat me?" The words fell. Kagaya directly cast the royal palace of heaven, bringing Yagami Kangdu and her to a magma world. "I, who devoured the world tree of the ninja world, are the masters of this world. Who exist in this world are under my control of life and death. Your appearance is very unwise, and I have to kill you." Kagaya looked at Yagami Kangdu quietly, as if stating a fact. "Are you also a big talker? You already know the result before you make a move." Yagami Kanto smiled lightly. Kagaya frowned at her overly relaxed attitude. He waved his sleeve robe, and a gust of wind that was comparable to ninjutsu swept through, leaving Yagami Kangdu completely motionless. Kagaya frowned, and just as she was about to continue her work, she found that Yagami Kangdu had also undergone a change in image. Just like himself, wearing a white trench coat, his eyes turned into reincarnations. The coercion emanating from her body made Kagaya feel threatened. "You have unlocked the seal, but without the fruit of the divine tree, you are not immortal, nor my opponent." Kagaya frowned. Only then did Kagaya realize that she really underestimated Kangdu Yagami. This person deserves her full strength and serious consideration. At the same time, Yagami Kanto directly launched an attack. The complete body Susanang almost condensed, and the 8-door Dunjia formation opened. The prestige Susano is almost covered in the 8-door Dunjia formation, and his abilities in all aspects have increased exponentially. If you are facing Ludaoban, you will blow him up. Boom boom boom. Yagami Kangdu slammed out a punch, wrapped in explosions, and smashed towards Kagaya. Kagaya frowned, concentrated chakra in the palm of her hand, and performed powerful fist marks several times in a row, colliding with the fist of Yagami Kangdu. The terrifying shock wave continuously sputtered the magma, and Kagaya finally repelled the Yagami Kangdu. 80 God's Air Strike, shakes the sky with immortality, integrates attack and defense, and is a merciless super-strength physical technique. Similar to Bagua Kongzong, but its power is vastly different. But it was an ordinary punch from Yagami Kangdu, which could be swung continuously. Kagaya was suppressed, but she couldn't think of any other better way. She could only continue to collide with the 8 Gods Kangdu with the 80 Gods Air Strike. The physical confrontation between the two was extremely fierce. Kagaya was very irritable, but there was no way to solve it. You can only continuously perform 80 Gods Air Strike and deal with Yagami Kangdu's attacks. You are my clan, there is no need to fight like this. We can live together forever, and together we are above the world. Kagaya Otsutsuki suddenly said. It should belong to my world, why should I give you half of it? It's not impossible to promise, and hand over the fruit of the divine tree. Yagami Kanto shrugged. It seems that in this battle, only one of you and me can survive. Kagaya responded indifferently. Words fell, and before Yagami Kangdu could answer, he raised his hand and 2 pieces that looked like withered branches shot out from the palm of his hand. Facing this withered branch, Yagami Kangdu also frowned, daring not to neglect, and quickly avoided it. Killing ashes, Kagaya's nirvana skill. No matter what, any creature touches it, it will decay and disappear in an instant. It looks like Junmalu's corpse veins, but the threat level is very different. But after Biao shot out the ashes of the total killing and repelled the Yagami Kangdu, Kagaya suddenly disappeared. After opening the space to teleport away, Yagami Kangdu just used the Samsara Shaker to keep up, but stopped in place. He raised his eyebrows slightly and noticed something unusual. Through the battle with Kagaya just now, it was discovered that her own strength has not returned to its peak state. With Kagaya's character, it is impossible not to recover the remaining chakra just because of her mercy. Now, he was clearly still fighting, but he actually took the initiative to leave the battlefield. The strange state made Yagami Kanto open his own perception. Possessing the purest bloodline of the Otsutsugi clan, after the seal was opened, Yagami Kangdu's ability to perceive his body was extremely powerful. After all, this is the eating guy of the Otsutsugi clan, who specially came to experience the major world trees in the universe. Who devoured the fruit of the divine tree, was equivalent to putting a position on herself, and she couldn't escape the perception of Yagami Kangdu. Soon, Iori Aoto discovered that Kagaya appeared in the 5th world. Controlling the samsara eye between the eyebrows, the pupil force penetrated into a small gray vortex in front of him. The gray vortex absorbed the pupil power of samsara eye and began to grow larger. From the size of a rice bowl at the beginning, it has expanded to the size of a face. It seems that this is the passage leading to the Otsutsuki clan. Yagami Kangdu had a guess in his heart. The motive is too obvious to strengthen the seal just after being resurrected. Instantly penetrated the space and came to Kagaya not far away. I didn't expect you to be stronger than I thought. Kagaya turned back silently, using her body to block the gray vortex without a trace. Looking up, Kagaya released the ashes of the co-killer again. Yagami Kangdu also raised his hand, and a space hole appeared. They killed the ashes and rushed into it, unable to touch Yagami Kangdu at all. Kagaya's brows furrowed, and she was about to move on, when she heard Yagami Kangdu say, "The vortex you blocked, I am afraid it is the passage to the Otsutsugi clan." Kagaya's eyes flashed. "With me, you can't use it to go back. Do you think you can stop me?" Yagami Kanto is a little contemptuous. Kagaya frowned and thought about it. What Yagami Kanto said was indeed reasonable. She does have the fruit of the divine tree, but it has been sealed for too many years, and part of the power needs to be split to strengthen the seal. If you want to solve Yagami Kangdu, I am afraid that you are powerless. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 94, Fusion of the Fruit of the Divine Tree, Immortal. That place is a world that respects power. No one will care about your status as the young patriarch, just go back like this and you will be killed. Sighing, Kagaya said. Iori Kangdu raised his eyebrows. So, you're doing it for my own good. What do you think? Why did I take you to escape from the Otsutsugi clan and come to the ninja world? Kagaya shook her head indifferently. Don't think you are the young patriarch. My eldest brother, your father, was killed by that person himself. Yagami Kangdu frowned. How come things are getting more and more complicated? It feels like a family rebellion, and Kagaya eats the fruit of the divine tree. It seems that it is also for herself. This vortex is a spatial coordinate that can return to the Otsutsuki clan, and at the same time they can come over. Only by taking the fruit of the divine tree can I seal the passage, protect the ninja world, and protect you. At the same time, using the secret technique of the Otsutsuki clan, Infinite Yuyu, to create a large number of white absolutes, in order to deal with the attack of the Otsutsuki clan. Kagaya recalled the past, and looked at Yagami Kanto's eyes began to soften, soft. A great contrast to the indifference and ruthlessness at the beginning. Think about it, you can unlock the bloodline seal, you should have been to the moon. Kagaya continued to say to herself, the seal was indeed placed by me, but it was to prevent the Otsutsugi clan from knowing that you were still alive. Your father, the former chief patriarch, was subverted. What will happen to you, the only young patriarch? I don't need to say more. Story became more bizarre. Yagami Kangdu looked extremely suspicious. Does Kagaya have the ability to read minds, or can read anyone's memory without contact? Just when Yagami Kanto was suspicious, Kagaya's body began to change. The original youthful appearance, smooth skin, began to wrinkle and age. The eyes of reincarnation were closed, leaving only a pair of white eyes. At the same time, a small fruit slowly condensed in front of the two of them. This is the fruit of the divine tree. You are stronger than I thought. Can be seen that if you want to explore the Otsutsugi clan, I can't stop you, so I will return the fruit to you. Kagaya was a little weak, but she still managed to send the fruit of the divine tree to the Yagami Kangdu. Suddenly, when Yagami Kangdu stretched out his hand in doubt, a strange laughter sounded. At the same time, Yagami Aoto and Kagaya Haim felt that they were both imprisoned and unable to move. Ha ha ha, for so many years, the day I've been waiting for has finally arrived. A figure emerged, shrouded in black robes. Staring at the fruit of the divine tree in front of Yagami Kanto and Kagaya-ji, he took off his hat, his face full of greed. Kagaya suddenly blurted out, "It's you, Otsutsuki Mokura style." Lost the fruit of the divine tree, also has the ability to express her emotions. Princess Kagaya, you traitor of the Otsutsuki clan. I have waited for so many years to finally get the fruit of this world's divine tree. Otsutsuki Mokura did not hide himself, and looked at Kagaya with a sneer. Anyway, you are the only young clan of our Otsutsuki clan, so I might as well tell you directly. Otsutsuki Tsukiya's death was planned. When I devour the fruit of the divine tree in this world, then the clan of the Otsutsuki clan will completely surrender to me. Of your family is gone. When the words fell, Otsutsuki Mokura started. Killed the ashes, shot out from his palm, and shot towards Yagami Kangta and Kagaya. On Otsutsuki Kura's face as he was determined to strike. PFF'd. But, an accident happened. Yagami Kangdu, who should have been imprisoned, easily opened the cracks in the space. The co-killing of ashes that attacked him and Kagaya was directly neutralized. It's impossible. Otsutsuki Mokura style exclaimed, and immediately wanted to start again. A ripple in the space, and his cold sweat broke out. Goosebumps appeared all over my body, and then I felt an unprecedented pain. Bang! Yagami Soto teleported to Otsutsuki Mokura's style's side, combined the powerful strength of Susanoo with the 8-door Dunjia formation, and flew away with a punch. The large tube of Mokba shot backwards, spitting out blood. Deeply collapsed chest, even with a fairy body, it is difficult to recover quickly. Damn, that's impossible. Otsutsuki Mokura's style shock. What he used was the forbidden technique of the Otsutsuki clan's clan, space confinement. Even in its heyday, Kagaya Otsutsuki, who is not an exaggeration to be called a god, can be imprisoned. This Yagami Kangdu has obviously not swallowed the fruit of the ninja world. Does this have the power of a god? Trash is rubbish. It is not good to hide in the sewer to survive. Do you have to come out and find death? Yagami Kangdu sneered, flew to catch up, and punched Otsutsuki Mokura's chest again. Ah! With a scream, Otsutsuki Mokba fell into the magma and was directly swallowed by the magma. The people of the Otsutsuki clan didn't die so easily, but for the time being, this is enough. That's enough. My own family knows their own affairs. Don't look at Yagami Kangdu's aggressive attack, it's the same as beating a dog in the Otsutsuki Mokura style. But in fact, the opening of the 8-door Dunjia formation, coupled with the prestige Susanoo, the burden on the body is too great. Even a full-level immortal human body is on the verge of collapse at this moment. Coming to Kagaya-ji, the 8 gods Kangdu said, "It doesn't matter. What you said is true or false, I will take the fruit of this divine tree." Although he said so, but Yagami Kanto was able to tell Kagaya-ji in particular. In fact, he was already somewhat convinced by her words. Otherwise, Kagaya would be able to devour the fruit of the god tree again while he was fighting with Otsutsu Mokura just now. Attacking the siege together with the Otsutsuki Mokura style, even now he can't stand it. I'm glad you have the ability to protect yourself. Kagaya smiled. This divine tree fruit was originally yours, I just kept it for you. After the words fell, the fruit of the divine tree merged into the body of Yagami Kangdu. A momentary aurora illuminates the entire space. A special space created by Kagaya after taking the fruit of the divine tree. Now that Kagaya-ji gave the fruit of the divine tree to Kangdu Yagami, the space naturally couldn't keep up and began to collapse. On Yagami Kangdu getting stronger and stronger, Kagaya Otsutsuki closed his eyes in relief and fell towards the ground. The boiling lava is about to drown her. Without the fruit of the divine tree, Kagaya could not escape death once it was wrapped in magma. Just at the very moment, Yagami Kangdu successfully merged the fruit of the divine tree. Unprecedented power circulates in the body, and the immortal body directly evolves into an immortal body. As long as he is in the ninja world, he is an invincible existence. Unlike Kagaya, her own talent is very poor, and she belongs to the bottom of the Otsutsuki clan. Even if she took the fruit of the divine tree, her strength could skyrocket to a level comparable to that of a god, not to mention Yagami Kangdu. Catching the falling Kagaya, in the arms of Yagami Kangdu, Kagaya visibly regained her youthful beauty. At the same time, an unprecedentedly powerful aura erupted from Kagaya's body. Compared with herself who took the fruit of the divine tree, she was much stronger, too much. Huo Ran opened her eyes, and Kagaya looked at Kangdu Iori in surprise. Chapter 95, Attack, Go to Otsutsukimoto's house. Life is shared. This is a secret technique of the Otsutsuki family that originates from blood, and can only be performed by blood relatives. At the same time, the casting conditions are also very harsh. At least, she couldn't do it back then, or else Yagami Kangdu wouldn't have to be sealed. Follow me to Otsutsukimoto's house. Yagami Kanto didn't explain anything, just said without objection. Only in the ninja world are you truly immortal and immortal, and the Otsutsuki clan has plundered the universe for so many years, possessing too many secret techniques of sealing, and also has a way to deprive the fruit of the divine tree. Kagaya did not object, but raised the risks she knew. With the combination of you and me, we won't be able to fight, and the big deal will be to return to the ninja world. Yagami Kanto shrugged. Don't know, since you know it, why don't you go to see if the group of sluts from the Otsutsukimoto family are really invincible? Good. After a long silence, Kagaya nodded. After all, she also owes Yagami Kanto something. Follow him back to the sect for revenge, it is a kind of compensation. Then, let's fix this guy's problem. Yagami Kanto said, with a wave of his hands. Otsutsuki Mokura style was firmly restrained in his throat. After successfully devouring the fruit of the god tree of the ninja world, Yagami Soto is the god of this world. Unlike Kagaya, Yagami Kanto found himself able to follow his words. Just wave your hand, you can grab people from different dimensions. Otsutsuki Mokura style, that is. It was caught in this way. Do you still have contact with the Otsutsukimoto family? Yagami Kanto asked. Silence for a while, but Otsutsuki Mokura's mouth was very strict. Thorn. His left arm was torn apart, and Otsutsuki Mokba-style cold sweat broke out, but he still didn't speak. Prick, prick. His right arm and left leg were torn apart, and Otsutsuki Mokura almost fainted, but he still didn't speak. The last right leg was also torn apart, and the Otsutsuki Mokura style was still stubborn and did not speak. But Yagami Kanto was in no hurry. Crushed one finger at a time, then one by one. It is worth mentioning that the bone structure of the Otsutsuki clan also has 06 bones. When the 186th stick was crushed, Tsutsukira made a move. Quick, do ent. Burn me with a Materaru, I said. The Otsutsuki Mokura style begging for mercy is so terrifying, it's not human. Crushing him a little bit is not enough, all kinds of physical attacks, mental attacks. In this world, Yagami Aoto is God. Otsutsuki Kira style has no ability to resist. His plea for mercy sounded, and Yagami Kanto really stopped what he was doing. Before Otsutsuki Mokura could breathe a sigh of relief, Yagami Soto put a hand on his forehead. Ah! The feeling of the soul being torn apart by madness, the memory being read by violent means. It was only now that Otsutsuki Mokura she realized that this world belongs to Yagami Soto. If you want to ask yourself things, you don't need to. As long as it is read directly as it is now, it is not a problem at all. It turned out that from the very beginning, I had been teased by others. In an instant, Otsutsuki Mokura became dementia, and Yagami Soto got the message he wanted. Kagaya watched from the side, and didn't think there was anything wrong with Yagami Kanto's cruel methods. You can be kind, but you can never be kind without a bottom line. In the face of those who deserve to be killed, that is. I can't have the slightest pity for them. I found out that there are 8 people in the Otsutsuki clan with 6-level combat power, all of them are elders. The strongest are Otsutsuki Haoyang and his younger brother, Otsutsuki Haoyu. The strength of these 2 people is still unknown, only the 8 elders of the 8th and 6th level are known to unite, and they are not the opponents of the 2 of them. The Yagami Kanto's words fell, and Kagaya hadn't responded yet, and a mutation occurred. Gray vortex began to shrink rapidly, and the aurora flickered in the blink of an eye. A strong spatial fluctuation spreads throughout the different dimension. Fortunately, this is already a different dimension maintained by Yagami Kanto. If it relies on the different dimension maintained by Kagaya before, I am afraid it will explode in an instant. Oops, they discovered the existence of the ninja world and are forcibly opening the passage through the other side. Kagaya's complexion changed, and she had to cast the Eye of Reincarnation to reinforce the seal. But the 8 gods Kanto stopped her and said, since you are here, it will save us the effort to prepare, and let's go directly. After the words fell, Kanto Yagami stepped into the aurora vortex first, and Kagaya didn't hesitate to walk in directly. At the same time, the Otsutsukimoto family. I found the existence of the ninja world. Now, I can finally pursue the traitor Kagaya. The elders said, thousands of years, waiting for this day for thousands of years, the final disaster. Any one of you, willing to represent my Otsutsugi clan, go to capture the traitor back. A middle-aged man sitting high in the first seat exudes an aura like a sea, like a scorching sun, hanging high in the sky. Anyone who dares to look at him will have a feeling of incomparable insignificance. He is the patriarch of the Otsutsugi clan, Otsutsuki Hokage. He is also the culprit who killed Yagami Aoto's father and let Kagaya escape into the ninja world. Patriarch, let me go. A trash like Kagaya, I'm enough alone. The 3 elders of the elders group, Otsutsuki, volunteered. With a 6th-level combat power, he can be ranked 6th in strength among the 8 elders. Slightly weaker, but only compared to the Otsutsugi clan who are as strong as clouds. Going to any planet other than the Otsutsugi clan is not a matter of arbitrarily pinching others. Just when Otsutsumu Hokage was about to nod his head in agreement, they opened the sealed entrance, and suddenly there was a violent fluctuation. Facing the eyes of everyone, 2 voices appeared in front of them. When the aurora disappeared, a man and a woman completely stood in the territory of the Otsutsugi clan. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 96. The End, the Ultimate Enemy. Who dares to introduce my Otsutsuki clan? The group of elders looked alertly at the person who came, ready to fight at any time. When they saw the faces of the people who came, they were all surprised. It's you. The 3rd elder Otsutsuki exclaimed. Kuii, you dare to come back by yourself. HMPH, since you're back, let's die. People who should not exist in the world long ago, you have survived for thousands of years. The 3 elders of Otsutsuki were harsh and rude at all. Words fell, the long hair fluttered, the white windbreaker swayed, and 8 black jade appeared immediately behind him. Boom. Acted directly, and the 8 begging jade directly swept Wei Yi. Kagaya's eyes were cold, and when she returned to this place full of pain, she had to face these ungrateful guys who killed her brother, and her heart was burning with anger. Now that the 3rd elder of Otsutsuki is directly involved, Kagaya is not polite. Also summons the Taoist Jade, but it is only a 1. The 2 sides collided with each other and absorbed them directly. This time, the elders of the Otsutsugi clan all frowned. Although the 3 elders are weak, they are still the peak combat power of the Otsutsugi clan. When Kagaya Otsutsuki left the Otsutsugi clan, he had already tested his talent. It has nothing to do with waste wood, but also mediocre qualifications. In their Otsutsugi clan, mediocre aptitude means that until old age and death, their combat power will not reach the level of 6 paths. Now, Wei Yi counterattacked with his backhand, and actually directly eliminated the fusion attack of the 3 elders' 8 seeking jades. Seems to be evenly divided, but it is clear that Kagaya is stronger than the 3rd elder. And, not just a little bit. Kagaya, although I don't know what you have been through these years, but after all, you are the princess of my Otsutsugi clan, why should you be so hostile to your family? It was at this moment that Otsutsuki Hokage spoke up. With a kind smile on his face, he spoke with a heartfelt heart. At first glance, he was really a good man with a lot of love and righteousness. Think about it carefully, it's just. When the 3 elders attacked, he did not speak. Seeing Kagaya's superb fighting power now, he immediately said such words. Read between the lines that if you go against your family, you have no conscience. Just shameless. Sure enough, Kagaya also thought so in her heart. Facing Otsutsuki Hokage, he smiled coldly, hypocritical. The elder brother treated you people who were so kind and supreme, embraced you with love, protected you, and what happened? You also said that strength is respected. My new family can stand at the peak of the universe and stand above countless family forces, relying on strength. Otsutsumu Hokage shook his head, Wu Yeji's thoughts, and continued, Big brother is indeed a good big brother, but as the patriarch, how can I do anything, it is all emotional. If he could have listened to me back then, he wouldn't have ended up like that. And everything is for the Otsutsugi family, don't you still understand? The heights are so cold, how many people look at our Otsutsugi clan and want to take their place one day? As the princess of the Otsutsugi clan, why can't you understand? So, this is the reason why you killed the big brother. Kagaya's face was cold. Otsutsuki Haoyang looked down at Kagaya, and did not hide. With the power of the patriarch, everything else is my opinion, he is too inappropriate. Power can blind people's eyes, but it is the first time that Yagami Kangdu is able to speak in such a high-sounding manner. Amazing, open your mouth at the beginning, and you have finished everything. Yagami Kangdu stood up and calmly looked around at everyone. Facing the oppressive gazes of the top strong men of the Otsutsugi clan, he straightened his back and was not affected at all. Is this your child Kagaya? Otsutsuki Haoyang's eyes flashed, and he suggested, if you are willing to return to the family, I am willing to provide your children with the best conditions. Even, train him as the next patriarch of our Otsutsugi clan, what do you think? In the eyes of the people of the Otsutsugi clan at the scene, the Yagami Kangdu, who does not have any characteristics of the Otsutsugi clan, can only be a combination of Otsutsuki Kagaya and other planets. Otherwise, their members of the Otsutsugi clan are very recognizable. 4. Otsutsuki Haoyang's goodwill. Otsutsuki Kagaya was very disdainful, snorted coldly, and said, he was originally the young patriarch of our clan. No, he was supposed to be the patriarch of my clan, and it was you who stole his position. As soon as these words came out, the people present were in an uproar. Even if he was a top expert, he couldn't help but shake his heart. From Kagaya's words, they heard a message. He's Otsutsuki Shinin. The three elders of Otsutsuki blurted out in shock. This is the name of the previous patriarch, that is, their eldest brother's child. It's impossible. In that incident, everyone except you was killed. The second elder Otsutsuki frowned and said suspiciously. It seems that you didn't do anything back then. Otsutsuki Haoyang's eyes flickered. He became interested in Yagami Aoto. As that person's child, with bloodline talent, would he be so perverted? If they hadn't given the medicine ahead of time and besieged them together, and then exploited that person's emotional weakness, it would have been impossible to kill him. That's it, the original 12 6th-level elders, the strongest even being similar in strength to him, were all destroyed. Remaining 8 elders were all wounded. They had undergone thousands of years of healing, and only recovered almost hundreds of years ago. He is the last bloodline of the eldest brother. I brought him back to settle things with you. Kagaya looked at Otsutsuki Haoyang coldly. The icy murderous intent permeates the air, not concealing it in the slightest. Ha ha ha. However, Otsutsuki Haoyang laughed when he heard the words, and said, Hui, you are still as innocent as you were back then. A mere child, plus you, be able to suppress all of us. Looking around, Otsutsuki Haoyang's true nature was fully revealed. Expression was no longer friendly, but full of morbid bloodthirsty savagery. The events of those days have always been a thorn in his heart. Thousands of years have passed, and he has not forgotten it. Of course, it wasn't because of reminiscing about the old love, it was entirely because he left a survivor like Kagaya, making his bedroom unforgettable. Now, the last bloodline of that person has appeared again, which has touched his last bottom line. Kill them for me. Cold order, Otsutsuki Haoyang returned to his throne and sat down. Only by touching the handle of the throne can the emptiness in his heart be calmed. The elders who received the order did not do everything. In their opinion, to deal with a mere Otsutsuki Kagaya and a Yagami Kantu, there is no need for a group attack. One is enough. Chapter 97. Rolling, sweeping the Otsutsuki clan. The third elder Otsutsuki moved. A total of ashes shot out, and at the same time, a crack in the different space appeared. With a strange posture, the co-killing ashes appeared next to Yagami Kanto and Kagaya in the blink of an eye. Their rich combat experience is stronger than anyone in the ninja world. However, the current Kagaya is not the Kagaya of the year. Yagami Kangdu is not an existence that anyone can handle. In a blink of an eye, the ashes were killed, and the 8 gods Kangdu erupted into an 8-door dungeon formation. After having an immortal body, even if you leave the ninja world, the effect will be much worse. Of the 8 gates Dunjia formation were completely offset. Even, for the sake of insurance, Yagami Kangdu, who opened the 8-door Dunjia formation, also added a majestic Susanoo. Otsutsuki clan had never seen before, Yagami Sudo slammed out with a punch. Speed was too fast, and the confident third elder Otsutsuki didn't have time to react. Boom! With a loud bang, the third elder Otsutsuki shot and flew out, smashing the wall, filled with smoke and dust. The sudden scene made Otsutsuki Haoyang's brows wrinkle deeply. Things seemed to go beyond his expectations. This nephew, whom he had never met before, possessed extraordinary strength. How dare you keep talking arrogantly with such a jerk? Yagami Kangdu smiled and looked at the Otsutsuki elders mockingly. I thought they were so strong, but I didn't expect they were paper tigers at all. Strong outside and dry in the middle. Based on the strength he had calculated by blasting the third elder Otsutsuki just now, it was about the same level as Liu Daozan. Mention that he opened the 8-door Dunjia formation, and also superimposed the prestige Susanoo. Even if it's just the 8-door Dunjia formation, the 3 elders of Otsutsuki can erupt. Because the Otsutsuki clan seems to be just pure forceists. Their close combat experience is rich, but they have not developed their physical strength to the extreme. Damn, kid, who do you look like? At this time, the embarrassed third elder Otsutsuki crawled out of the ruins. Covered in blood, his clothes were torn, and he was very embarrassed. He looked at Yagami Kangdu, his eyes filled with humiliating cold murderous intent. If Yagami Kangdu is not killed today, then his fame and reputation will be ruined. Because at this moment, because of too much movement, many people came to watch. On this planet, the Otsutsuki clan is actually not too many, that is, the direct line of more than 1,000 people, and the collateral line of thousands of people. The remaining hundreds of thousands of people are all slaves of the Otsutsuki clan. They couldn't believe it when they saw the third elder Otsutsuki being in a state of embarrassment. Of gaze deeply stabbed the third elder Otsutsuki. Trash is rubbish, nonsense is true. Yagami Kangdu spoke calmly and moved again. The pupils of the third elder Otsutsuki narrowed, and he was about to resist. Boom! Under the circumstance of being on full alert, the third elder Otsutsuki still failed to organize an effective response and was directly knocked into the air. This time, the 3 elders were suppressed one-sidedly, and Kai Guago appeared in front of everyone. Many people exclaimed in disbelief, this is their third elder. Even Otsutsuki Haoyang frowned and gestured at the other elders. Things are gradually getting out of control and need to be suppressed as soon as possible. The second elder Otsutsuki nodded his head indifferently, and suddenly there was a silent message from his body. Ripple in space, he appeared behind Yagami Kangdu. He bent his fingers and reached out with one hand, trying to crush Yagami Kangdu's throat directly. When the second elder Otsutsuki thought he had succeeded, Yagami Kangdu turned around and pinched his palm at an extremely fast speed. Crack! A crisp bone crack sounded, but the fingers of the second elder Otsutsuki were crushed. Immediately afterwards, Iori Kangdu kicked out and kicked the second elder Otsutsuki in the abdomen. Elder Otsutsuki's eyes widened, and his body flew out uncontrollably. Smashed through the wall like a dead dog and was buried in the rubble. Blink of an eye, the fourth and fifth elders of Otsutsuki also took action. Left and a right attack, the sky in the left and right directions, and a total of ashes fell. Blocking all escape routes, they will kill Yagami Kangdu with one blow. Kagaya's eyes were cold, and she shot directly and brazenly. Yagami Kangdu smiled slightly, and did not pay attention to the fourth and fifth elders who were attacking, but handed them over to Kagaya Otsutsuki. He himself disappeared on the spot, but he entered a different dimension and walked directly towards Otsutsuki Haoyang. Boom! With Yagami Kangdu and Otsutsuki Haoyang as the center, a strong wind pressure swept out. Flying sand and gravel, the hard ground was shattered, and the scene was a mess. Otsutsuki Haoyang's complexion was heavy, it was just a move, and he took a full 3 steps back. Although he was caught off guard, it was enough to prove that Yagami Kangdu had the strength to hurt him. At the same time, when the fists and palms of the two were facing each other, Kagaya threw the 4th and 5th elders and vomited blood and flew out. In just a moment of effort, the 8th great elders lost half. I have to admit that you dare to come to the Otsutsuki clan to make trouble, and you really have a strength that surprises me. Otsutsuki Haoyang distanced himself from Yagami Kangdu and looked at the two of them quietly. But don't forget, the world tree divine fruit of this planet was plundered by me. Otsutsuki Haoyang laughed. You should know that the current me, on this planet, is God, immortal and immortal. Even if you are tough enough to kill me countless times, I can still be resurrected instantly. I recognize your strength, and you can still be included in the clan. Together, we can completely dominate the entire universe. Mutual benefit, isn't it? After a long speech, Kagaya frowned. In his impression, Otsutsuki Haoyang looks upright, but is very sinister. Moreover, Jairus must be reported. With his character, it is impossible for him to be so peaceful when he and Yagami Kangdu lose face in front of so many people. Sure enough, when Kagaya felt strange, she only felt the hairs on her back explode. That resembled Otsutsuki Haoyang in 8 or 9 points appeared silently, with ashes bursting out of his hands. Even if you have an immortal body, it is someone else's territory after all. If you get hit with the ashes of the Communist Party, even if you don't die, it's up to others. However, when Kagaya wanted to dodge, she found that she couldn't move. Looking back, Otsutsuki Haoyang's momentum erupted, like a scorching sun. It was precisely because of this momentum that she could not move for a short time. And Otsutsuki Haoyu's co-killing ashes was almost an inch away from Kagaya. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 98, King's Landing on the Otsutsukimoto Family, The Ending Part 1. He watched helplessly as the ashes of the co-killing continued to enlarge until he was only an inch away. Kagaya Otsutsuki closed her eyes, she didn't regret it. Yagami Kangdu has grown up and has enough strength. It was enough that she survived for thousands of years. But fate always likes to tease people. It was just when Kagaya Otsutsuki thought that he was sure to die, and Haoyu Otsutsuki felt that there was no way he could dodge it. A figure suddenly appeared, ignoring the space condensation that Otsutsuki Haoyang himself cast. Caught on top of the ashes of the total killing, the armor of the mighty Susanoo shattered instantly. But chakra added in time, and the ashes were not able to touch Yagami Kangdu's arm. On the contrary, it was Otsutsuki Haoyu who attacked by surprise. I didn't expect this sudden scene. His eyes were horrified, and he pulled away trying to escape. Speed is very fast, at least Kagaya is absolutely unable to catch up. But the figure of Yagami Kangdu flickered, and a heavy elbow slammed on the neck of Otsutsuki Haoyu. Ah! A tragic scream echoed, and Otsutsuki Haoyu's vertebrae were shattered and deeply embedded in the ground. Everything happened in an instant. This kind of change made Otsutsuki Haoyang start to feel a little intimidated. Otsutsuki Haoyu's strength is not as strong as his, but it's not that much different. Especially proficient in assassination, if you were caught off guard, you may be recruited under his sneak attack. He clearly stared at Kangdu Yashin. Even in such a situation, he was able to come forward and save Kagaya. Such strength, it seems, is already stronger than him. But Otsutsuki Haoyang would not admit that that person pressed him so tightly back then that he would always be the second 10,000 years old of the Otsutsuki clan. Now that his son is back, he can still hold himself down. It is tolerable, and it is unbearable. Boom! Otsutsuki Haoyang did it himself. Turning into a round of scorching sun, while waving fists, the layers of void ripples constantly. Sound of sonic booms was continuous, with a blow with anger, and even a little space crack. To kill the ashes. Kagaya immediately blocked it, killing the ashes without any disadvantage, touching the edge of the scorching sunscreen, and eliminating it directly. It's like meeting a natural nemesis. He wanted to block it again with the 80 Gods air strike, but Otsutsuki Haoyang had already passed Kagaya-ji. Punch slammed out, constantly magnifying in front of Yagami Kangdu. Boom! An extremely powerful punch hit. Yagami Kangdu shattered directly, but before Otsutsuki Haoyang could be surprised, he found that a puff of smoke flashed. Half of the stake appeared, but it was not known when Shen Kangdu performed the avatar technique. Huo Dunhao and the fire extinguished. At the same time, Otsutsuki Haoyang felt a stinging heat on his back. A1 giant fireball fell, straight to his body. The fireball naturally shattered, and Otsutsuki Haoyang did not suffer too much actual damage. But the messy image completely subverted the serious image of the people around him who were deeply in awe of him, the patriarch of the Otsutsuki clan. Embarrassed, depressed, hysterical anger. From the moment the fireball hit him, Otsutsuki Haoyang completely lost the hypocritical appearance that he had disguised for many years. Stared at Yagami Kangdu with gritted teeth. An angry look. I can't wait to tear Yagami Kangdu alive. Little devil, you succeeded in provoking me. Next, I will let you taste what is boundless fear. Otsutsuki Haoyang spoke ruthlessly, and the whole person began to float above the air. The shining light curtain around it expands more and more. From the beginning, it was like a small scorching sun, and after a while, it was a large scorching sun that was almost the size of the moon. The dangerous aura emanating from it is still rising. Scorching sun was still there. It swelled infinitely, and Otsutsuki Haoyang's wild laughter came out. Ha ha ha, wait to die, this is the price you pay for offending me. Once this move is activated, no one can stop him. He also used this trick to kill Kagaya's elder brother and seize the position of the patriarch. Now, he wants to do it all over again. That person's child with the same move. HMPH, I don't know how high the sky is, the little devil, death is your belonging. The remaining elders of Otsutsuki began to sneer. They are very clear about the strength of Otsutsuki Haoyang. Once they are fully erupted, one person can deal with their 8 elders. Moreover, it is only a matter of time before the battle is won. To deal with people like Kagaya who had mediocre funds from the original Otsutsuki clan, and the Yagami Kangdu who was unable to swallow the divine fruit of the world tree. It's just kill in minutes. Yes, the Otsutsuki family has the ability to detect the fluctuations of the world tree divine fruit. But from the very beginning, they did not feel any fluctuations about the divine fruit in Yagami Kangdu and Kagaya. That's why, they did it directly. The Otsutsuki clan without the divine fruit, no matter how talented they are, cannot grow to the height of Otsutsuki Haoyang. Today, Yagami Kangdu and Kagaya, who have no divine fruit, face Otsutsuki Haoyang, who has divine fruit and is furious, except death. There is no second way out. Some elders even started to clean up the battlefield, pulling out the elders who were defeated by Kagaya and Yagami Kangdu to heal their wounds. After all, they think the big picture is set. Just what they thought. Just what they thought. Feeling the scorching sun formed by Otsutsuki Haoyang, which is constantly expanding and climbing high, Yashin King fights. The fruit of the divine tree has long been integrated into the blood of Yagami Kangdu, which is unprecedented for the Otsutsuki clan. This is also the reason why the elders of Otsutsuki were not able to notice it right away. Just an instant, the 8 gods Kangdu broke through the barrier of Otsutsuki Haoyang. Without any hesitation, he punched Otsutsumu Haoyang's abdomen, piercing it instantly. The blood-dripping pain made Otsutsuki Haoyang's face more and more hideous. The most important thing is that once it is used, the secret technique that can never be interrupted is interrupted. Otsutsuki Haoyang quickly fell towards the place, followed by Yagami Kangdu. The violent fists like raindrops fell quickly, and the fists fell on Otsutsumu Haoyang's body. Crack! The sound of bone cracking continued, and before it landed on the ground, Otsutsuki Haoyang had already been beaten into a ball of boneless animals. It fell to the ground like mud, but it didn't die directly. This is of course the result of Yagami Kangdu's intentional retention. Otherwise, even if Otsutsuki Haoyang has a very strong recovery ability, he will not be able to keep up with Yagami Kangdu's destructive power. Leave it to you. Yagami Kanto fell to the ground and looked at Kagaya Otsutsuki. Compared with the father he had never met before, the Otsutsuki clan who came for the first time, Yagami Soto had no hatred. For Otsutsuki Haoyang, it is at most a form of revenge. And for Kagaya, who experienced that period of history personally, it is a pain that can't be erased in a lifetime. Chapter 99. King's Landing on Otsutsuki's House, Ending Part 2. Kagaya was stunned, and then a sad expression appeared on her face. She understood Yagami Kangdu's intention, did not refuse, came to squat in front of Otsutsuki Haoyang. Sister Wei Yi, why am I also your brother? You can't bear to start, right? Otsutsuki Haoyang panicked. Every time his body was about to regain a little mobility, it would be directly crushed and destroyed by Yagami Kangdu. So much so that he still looks like a lamb to be slaughtered, watching Kagayaji helplessly begging for mercy. Then when you killed your brother, why didn't you think about keeping him alive? Kagaya's tears fell, full of sadness and anger. Everything I do is for the Otsutsuki clan. If it weren't for me, my elder brother would have buried all our clan sooner or later. At this time, Otsutsuki Haoyang is still there, his mouth is tough. But he also realized that people had to bow their heads under the eaves. And he quickly looked at Kagaya Otsutsuki and begged for mercy. Sister Kagaya, I know I was wrong, and I will definitely find a way to compensate you. This time, just let me go, okay? PFF'd. The next moment, the sound of a sharp weapon entering the body sounded. Blood shot out, but it was not Kagaya's shot, nor was Otsutsuki Haoyang hit. It was the elusive Otsutsuki Haoyu, whose heart was pierced by Yagami Kangdu's ashes. You. Staring at Iori Kangdu in disbelief, Otsutsuki Haoyu instantly turned into ashes. That's your hope for procrastinating. After killing Otsutsuki Haoyu, the eight gods Kangdu looked back at Otsutsuki Haoyang as if nothing had happened. He changed his face begging for mercy, and roared fiercely, bastards, you bastards. It's you who are wrong, not me. Kill me if you have the ability. Do you think you can get out of the Otsutsuki clan? Look at the people around me, they are all my servants. Kill me, you think they will let you go and die together? If you have the ability, kill me. Roaring wildly, Otsutsuki Haoyang's eyes flashed with a vicious cold glow. As long as he can survive today, he will do everything possible to bury Kagaya and Yagami Kangdu. Today's shame was deeply engraved in his heart. Oh. At this moment, a soft voice sounded. But it was Kagaya Otsutsuki who replied calmly, and the ashes were inserted on top of Otsutsuki Haoyang's head. Was instantly eroded and shattered into ashes. So far, the two brothers Otsutsuki Haoyang and Haoyu have given their heads completely. The remaining Otsutsuki elders were surprised to be able to swallow 2 eggs with their mouths. 15 minutes at most have passed since the conflict started. The two peak battle strengths of the Otsutsuki clan, Otsutsuki Haoshin and Otsutsuki Haoyu, were actually killed. Group of elders has been damaged by more than half, which is a fart. See the patriarch, see Princess Kagaya. Immediately, the remaining 4 chiefs of Otsutsuki knelt down. Kidding, keep insisting, that is. Courting death. They haven't lived enough, but they don't want to follow the example of the 2 brothers Tsutsumu Haoshin. It's late. Yagami Kangdu snorted coldly, and immediately shot. At this time, I was thinking of surrender, and I was thinking about what to do just now, and I punched it. The shocking attack power-bombed the square of the entire Otsutsuki clan into a deep pit. The 4 surviving elders of Otsutsuki died without any resistance. The surrounding Otsutsuki people shivered, and some people were moved to tears. Under the leadership of Otsutsuki Hoshin and others, the entire Otsutsuki clan lived in dire straits. In order to enhance his own strength, Otsutsuki Hoshin would choose to let his clansmen plunder the fruits of the World Tree. After returning to the clan, they will sacrifice the clansmen who have obtained the fruit of the World Tree, and then obtain their fruit of the World Tree to enhance their strength. For thousands of years, the Otsutsuki family has been miserable. That no one resisted, and a wave of bloody suppression was gone. At this time, an old man stood up. Slightly blurred eyes, he looked at Kagaya Otsutsuki and widened his eyes. "You are Princess Kagaya Otsutsuki." Uncle Fuchang. Kagaya also recognized the old man at a glance. It was the servant who served her eldest brother back then. "Princess, you are finally back. Now that Otsutsuki Hoshin has given the head, the Otsutsuki clan needs a new leader. You must." "Ah." Fuchang persuaded. "No, the eldest brother's child is still there. The position of the patriarch of the Otsutsuki clan should belong to him." Kagaya waved her hand and turned to introduce Yagami Kangdu. Unexpectedly, when I looked back, Yagami Kangdu disappeared long ago. The passage to the ninja world was also closed, and Kagaya, who had no choice but to smile bitterly, could only accept this fact. "Hey, it's impossible for me to be the patriarch." In the teleportation channel, Iori Kangdu smiled slightly. "Isn't he good for fishing?" Boom. Suddenly, just as Yagami Kangdu went to the ninja world, the passage was halfway through, and a mutation occurred. The entire transmission channel began to collapse, and at the same time, Yagami Kangdu felt that his consciousness was becoming more and more blurred. I only felt a feeling of exhaustion hit, my eyes darkened, and I fainted directly. Where is this? I don't know how long I've been in a drowsiness, but Iori Kangdu looks a little puzzled when he sees everything around him. "You're awake." At this time, a soft voice came over. Yagami Kangdu looked back, but it was a 16 or 17-year-old girl who was quite beautiful. "Drink these medicines." Girl came up and handed over a bowl containing potions for healing the body. But Yagami Kangdu did not refuse, and drank it all. Then, handed the bowl to the girl and asked, "Where is this place? Looks like you don't look like a local. Are you from the Navy or a pirate?" The girl did not answer directly, but asked. "I did come from outside. As for a Navy pirate, it doesn't count. It should be a civilian." Yagami Kangdu thought for a while and said. However, he also learned from the girl what kind of world he was in. Pirate King. It turned out to be a civilian, so be careful. This is the Chambord Archipelago. There are many supernova pirates with high bounty, and occasionally there will be vice admirals and generals, especially the Tianlong people, and it is absolutely impossible to provoke them. The little girl reminded. "Oh right, I'll call you Nina. You haven't fully recovered yet, so just rest first." "Have I been in a coma for a long time? You have always taken care of me." Yagami Kanto asked. Nina nodded. "I found yours at the beach, and I've been in a coma for more than half a month. When it's you, it seems like you don't even breathe. It's amazing that you're still alive." "Thank you. Iori Yagami Aoto sincerely thank you." Nina just nodded, and then said, "Then I'll go to work first. You can rest well, I'll bring you food back in the evening." The words fell. Nina walked directly towards the door. Yagami Aoto lay on the bed again, and began to think about how to deal with the next thing. Coming to the world of One Piece has been confirmed, but it is not very clear at which point in time. At the same time, as soon as Nina walked out of the door, she found a strange scene. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read, collect, recommend and share. Chapter 100. Chambord Archipelago, the Dragonite Incident. On the street in the distance, pedestrians stopped one after another. One by one they bowed their heads and bowed, as if to greet their king. In a tense atmosphere, no one dared to speak out. At the end of the street, a man with a bubble on his head was riding on the back of a slave. The slave was on all fours, crawling hard on the ground. World nobles, Tianlong people, the descendants of the kings who established the world government 20 years ago have supreme privileges. All laws are against them, and any offense will be regarded as a capital offense that can be shot on the spot. It's so boring. Charles Ross rode forward slowly on the slave, yawned, showing a look of boredom. Several subordinates next to him followed respectfully, not daring to answer at will. And at this moment, he inadvertently glanced away and saw Nina kneeling in the distance. Immediately, his eyes flashed, and he tilted his head to take a look. This girl looks very beautiful, so I will choose it as my new house. Yes. Next to the slave immediately. Respectfully replied, I'll go through the formalities for you to welcome the 18th lady to the Holy Land Mary Joa right away. At the same time, several subordinates next to him walked towards the kneeling Nina with indifferent expressions. Ignoring her frightened expression at all, she wanted to arrest her. The people next to him saw this scene, their faces were full of horror, but no one dared to say anything. They lowered their heads and shivered. Even worried about being affected. In the world of One Piece, offending the heavenly dragons is a death penalty. If you dare to attack the Tianlong people, you will directly attract the Admiral of the Navy. The Chambord Archipelago is the back garden of the Tianlong people. No one dares to offend the Tianlong people here. Even those, the vicious pirates who sailed here, the supernovas in the first half of the Great Route. When facing the Tianlong people, they all chose to be patient. As for those who couldn't bear it, they all fell under the command of the Admiral and paid the price for their actions. In the face of the overbearing Tianlong people, no one dared to speak. No one dared to do anything. Everyone watched helplessly, watching the guards of the Tianlong people grab Nina. Why let me go? I don't want to be like you. The lady of the disgusting Tianlong people. Nina watched Charles Rose's subordinate want to take her away, stood up, and wanted to resist. Dare to insult me. Charles Rose was angry. What kind of dragon people they are. He can tolerate the abuse of others. HMPH, I will take you back and I will treat you well. Give me a call, just leave a breath. The majesty of the Tianlong people, no one can offend. The words fall, Charles Rose's subordinates will immediately start. And Yagami Kanto, who was resting in the room, came to the noise outside the door. Naturally, I also heard Nina's voice bursting out. He opened the door and walked up to the eldest sister. As soon as I saw it, I saw more than 10 guards coming towards Nina fiercely. In this deadly silence, Charles Ross, who was riding on the slave, also saw Yagami Kenta. His face was full of anger. Why did people dare to offend him one after another today? You dare to stand, you don't want to live, do you? Seeing Iori Kangdu, Charles Ross burst out in anger. Everyone also noticed it, and they were all panicked. This is bad. There are people who come forward to provoke the heavenly dragon man Charles Rose again and again, and there is a very high probability that these people will be affected. Nina, come beside me. But Yagami Kanto completely ignored the tense atmosphere around him and waved at Nina. Nina came to Yagami Kangdu and frowned in a low voice. They are Tianlong people, you dare to offend and go, lest we provoke the Admiral to come, and we will all die. You're afraid. Yagami Kangdu raised his eyebrows. Nina clenched her fists. Of course I'm not afraid, my parents were killed by the Tianlong people. If I could, of course I want them to pay the price, but I don't have enough victories. Only by living can there be hope of revenge, right? If that's the case, let's collect some interest today. Yagami Kangdu smiled. In Nina's unbelievable eyes, she looked at Charles Ross. How can a rubbish like Tianlong people make me kneel? The 8 gods Kang Do Dao. In the silent street, Yagami Kanto's voice echoed with unusual clarity. All the people kneeling there showed expressions of astonishment, looking at Yagami Kangdu in disbelief. It's like poking a hornet's nest. Don't he know who he is facing? Don't he know how high the Tianlong people are, that is? The law can't punish them. Meeting for the first time. It was the first time someone dared to say such insulting words to him. Anger made his already ugly face even more hideous. He gritted his teeth angrily, mobilized his whole body, and clenched his hands tightly. Bastard! Bastard! Seeing that Charles Ross was trembling with anger, he couldn't even speak clearly, and the guards in attendance next to him were almost scared to pee. Immediately, one of the attendants shouted at Iori Kangdu, "Damn pariah, don't kneel down quickly and ask Lord Charles Rose's forgiveness." While roaring, several guards stepped forward. But before they could walk in front of Yagami Kangdu, a strange force suddenly came across. Several of Charles Rose's servants fell to the ground uncontrollably. Together with the area of several meters in radius, it collapsed suddenly, and a huge deep pit appeared. Seeing this scene, many people kneeling on both sides of the street were inexplicably horrified. Dare to offend the Tianlong people, he really is not an ordinary person. However, even the supernovas with a bounty of hundreds of millions of Baileys dared not provoke the Tianlong people. How dare this strange man in front of him dare to deal with the Tianlong people? The most terrible thing is to face the pursuit of the Admiral of the Navy. Isn't he afraid of the Admiral? If you offend the Tianlong people, you will attract the Admiral of the Navy. Many people knelt nervously, with heavy hearts. In the past, no one provoked the Tianlong people, but in the end, they were all suppressed and destroyed by the Admiral of the Navy. If it is said that the privilege and identity of the Tianlong people are the source of their grief and anger, of the Admiral is the heavy burden on their hearts, the culprit that made them reluctantly succumb to the Tianlong people. That had hung over countless years, and no one could dispel that heavy pressure.